Good morning or afternoon, wherever you may be, because it's very early for us. This is the Pylon Show, episode number 136. And I say for us, but that's not totally true, because there's one man on this call that wakes up very early. I'm, of course, your host. I'm Kevin, and I am joined by two people that have never, ever been on the Pylon Show, which I think is ridiculous. So I'm going to kick things off by throwing it to my comrade from the Netherlands, Lowko. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing today, mate?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I mean, I wake up at 8 in the morning. I know there's a lot of people watching that like wake up at 4 or 5 because they have to for work, and you call 8 in the morning ridiculously early. It's for gamers, I guess it's a bit on the early end of things. But yeah, I'm doing very great, man. Thank you for having me.
First time on the Pylon Show. How on earth is this possible?
So, I mean, we already discussed it. I live an old man schedule. I wake up at like at 8, and then I go to bed at like 11 p.m. And usually these shows seem to happen at like 4 in the morning, our time. And you're fine doing that. You seem to just that's like the last thing you do during the day, I guess, and then you go to bed after the Pylon Show when it's in 4 in the morning. But yeah, personally, I don't really like waking up that early. It's too much.
I think your schedule is slightly better than mine, mate. But I mean, my hands were tied. I got asked by my
Yeah.
American friends. I always felt bad turning them down, but I know how it is. And I think we can all take a lesson out of your playbook. That is definitely one way to live a proper, healthy life. Speaking of healthy lives, Coco, first on the Pylon Show. How are you doing, Coco?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, just the usual, I guess.
All right. Well, today we're going to talk about a little bit of everything. As you guys know, I like to cover some of the bigger events in the beginning of the show. And basically, today we're just going to have a fun, little, friendly chitty chat about streaming. How it's like to be a streamer. I'm especially interested in some of the things that Lowko has to say, because Lowko has a very interesting career. You're one of the very first few guys that actually started off on YouTube and then became a Twitch streamer. And then, of course, it will be really fun to hear from Coco as well, because Coco started streaming StarCraft 2 in a day and age where people say you shouldn't even stream StarCraft 2 anymore because blah, 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 there is nothing to it. Coco still came up, she saw, she conquered, and she's a household name now in the streaming scene. That wasn't was for you, Courtney. How did I do?
Yeah. Great.
So we'll talk about that soon, and we have a couple of fun questions for them. But first, let's take a look at some of the bigger things that happened in the last 7 days or the last week of StarCraft 2. As you guys know, I like to talk about the weeklies in the beginning of the show. Those happen every Monday. Now, the Korean one is on a Saturday, I believe, so that's a little bit awkward. But feel free to bring up the Korean weekly if you can, Cobra. These are obviously the big 3 tournaments that are currently happening, the ESL, the GSL, and the DreamHack Masters, but all of it is part of the ESL Pro Tour. And part of that ESL Pro Tour are these weekly tournaments. First up, we've got Korea. I don't know if this is the right one. Am I crazy? Actually, there you go. Number 82, Zest 30 Solar. So the bracket is the one that's outdated, guys, but, well, we don't have to talk about it too long. TLDR Protoss 1, Lowko, are you surprised?
No, it's not too bad, man. Zest is obviously ridiculously good. Definitely one of the best Frodos. I don't think there's anyone surprised that he wins at ESL Open Cup, right? That's
He
can do that every week.
3-0, man. 3-0. Void Race.
Yeah, I don't know if you played Void Race. Well, I don't know. I haven't seen the games, but yeah.
I haven't seen those games either, but if you guys do want to take a look at those games, make sure to take a look at Statfast, his channel. He always covers the Korean Weekly, and I think sometimes maybe Piggy or Maynard hops into it too. It's actually insane because now we've got Europeans participating in the Korean Weekly. Like this week, not too many, but last week we had Max Packs actually having one hell of a run. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Demi, our Indian Zerg, who did make it into the quarterfinals of the Korean Weekly, so he picked up $50. Well done, Demi. Congrats. So we're moving on to what I like to call the main event of the week. Coco, I know you live for that European Pro Tour Weekly on the Monday evening. Unfortunately, this is also the outdated bracket, but we do have the updated result in the top left side. And we obviously know that this week it was back to being the Big Gabe Weekly, wasn't it, Coco?
Yeah. I don't think Gabe even dropped a map like the entire time.
No, I'm looking at the bracket right now. I haven't seen any of the games, but he did not drop a single map. And he went past some insane players.
You would love I think game 3 for your channel, Clam against Hero Marine. I mean, I know, like, this is actually something I want to ask you about, but we'll talk about that soon.
Sure.
Like, I know that you've casted a lot of games in your life that you know the result of.
Yeah, I've
like, this
casted a
was,
bunch.
yeah, this when people tell you, like, hey, it's a really good game, you're like, all right, I want to cast it. But, like, if I tell you, like, hey, Hero Marine against Clam game 3 is sick. But then if you watch the game and you know that Hero Marine is going to win because you know it's a 3-0, then it's a little bit less sick. But if you watch
Yeah.
that live, I
No,
think
you're
you
right.
would love it.
I do prefer not knowing the results, obviously, right? But then again, I just try to cast the best games of StarCraft. So yeah, it's especially like sometimes someone's like, "Hey, do you want to? Did you see player X win in this tournament? You should really cast the game that they played here in the final match of the series." And it's like, yeah, okay. Now I already know who's gonna win. It kind of sucks. But if it's like a 3-2 or whatever, usually, it's fine because then at least one of the other players still at least won a couple maps. But yeah.
Cobra, would it be possible for you to just take a look at the Liquipedia page of the ESL Open Cup number 82 so we can actually take a look at the correct bracket and give the players the credits they deserve? Because obviously Gabe had a monstrous run, like Coco said. Hero Marine winning the weekly without dropping a single map. That is the American one. We'll talk about that one soon. We had an all-European final in the American weekly too. But yeah, Europe was quite something. We had Lambo participate. That's not something that happens very often, right, Coco?
Yeah, I feel like Lambo doesn't play in them that much. Or he used to, but maybe because of DreamHack, he's not playing as much.
I wonder, because like we know that Lambo's not that fond of playing in the European Pro Tour Weekly, but I wonder if the bad start he had in the DreamHack Masters, where he surprisingly started off 0-2, if that prompted him, he's like, you know what, I'll show them what I'm made of, and he did make the semifinals. So it was cool. Since we're looking at the American Weekly now, I guess we can just talk about that. But the TLDR, guys, the European Pro Tour Weekly is back with Gabe just doing Gabe things. Later that night, after Gabe won the European Weekly without dropping a map, he decided to play the American Weekly too, and that's the bracket that we were just looking at. And he made it to the final again. I did not see those games, but I heard crazy stuff happened. Game 5, Dark Templars with Blink, and this just leaves me to ask, Coco, have you been feeding strategies to Max Packs?
No, but he's kind of my idol. I don't know, I've been a Max Packs fan for a while. I like that he does a lot of silly builds. And I like that he actually wins with them too. He's a role model for the cheesers out there.
It's funny because a lot of people were like, hey, sorry, Lowko, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I casted the final game of that series yesterday on Blackburn, and he literally made as many Dark Templar as he made Zealots at some point in his army. Like, he had I think 13 Dark Templar and 13 Zealots in the army, and it actually works really quite well if you blink on top of all the siege tanks. It turns out.
That's what I like to hear.
Yeah, it was sick. No, it's actually really cool.
Yeah, like if you are rich and you are maxed out, you have 4 or 5 bases. If you ask me, would you rather have a Zealot or a Dark Templar with Blink? Yeah, probably he'd rather have a Dark Templar with Blink, right? Because if the armies are big, it's really hard for Zealots to get that first hit off anyway, because they have to run into a big ball of units and they often just disappear. Dark Templars, they can blink and at least get 1 or 2 swipes off. And the DPS of DTs is very high. As I've learned over at Coconut Games, her stream, guys. He makes a lot of them. No defense is scary enough to blink in at Coco's stream. That is what I can appreciate. Now, this is actually the bracket of Europe that we were talking about before. But yeah, I think we kind of covered it. Anyone that stands out for you guys, Courtney, Lowko?
I guess Gabe, right? Gabe 3-0 versus Lambo, but also Clem. That's insane. Like, those are crazy results. It's really cool.
Gabe winning the entire tournament without dropping a map. That's always like, oh yeah, I don't think I dropped a map actually. It's like, oh, he knew all along. You know that he's so eager to get that flawless W. It's like, oh wow, guys, this is like not so bad. And apparently he was aiming for the quarterfinals this week. Well, Gabe, you little overachiever. Well done. But yeah, overall, I think the weeklies were very fun this week with Gabe winning Europe and then also making it all the way to the final and having a great series against Max Pax. I believe that was Max Pax his second victory ever, by the way. But both of his victories came from the American Open and not the European Open, which I think is kind of funny.
Yeah, Max Pax is getting insanely good though. Like I've been casting his games for a while on YouTube and then like if you compare him to like a year ago, he's just significantly better, like far less cheesy in a lot of the games. And really one of the best protos in Europe right now for sure. Like insane.
Yeah. I totally agree. I feel like a year ago you could see that he was good, he had potential, but it was a lot about it felt like everything had to go according to plan right off the get-go. And if one thing would go wrong, then you could see that he was a bit out of his element. I think MaxPax now is just so damn good in analyzing where he's at in a game and realizing that he's gonna have to switch it up. And he can just play completely standard, normal, straight up. Like you just want a macro, he will macro with you. Kid is awesome, and that's why he's been really fun to watch in the DreamHack Masters as well, which we can talk about now. What was this? This was the bracket actually of the Korean Weekly, but we're done with it. So congrats to the winners. Congrats to Maxi Paxi, Gabe, and Zest for winning the weeklies this week. We also had our GSL qualifiers this week, guys. We're not going to spend too much time on it because they are a little bit hard to follow. I guess this also happened in the last 7 days. Yeah, that was Thursday. Damn, this feels so
this
long
happened
ago,
today.
guys. But yes, the GSL Codas finals happened. Coco, did you watch the games?
I did not. Did you watch the
Lowko,
games?
did you watch the games?
I did watch most of them. Yeah, that was pretty one-sided.
I feel like it happens often in GSL, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
you're kind of hyped for a final, and I was pretty hyped for this one. I know some people have been a bit critical of this season, but I was like, man, Trap, he's been winning everything, but the one thing he doesn't have is that Codas victory. He's gonna go for it. He's ready. He's playing better than ever before. He beat Rainer in TSL, but it just wasn't quite it, right?
Yeah. No, I was really impressed with the way that Dark is playing. Honestly, like Dark this year has been on absolute fire, and right now he just looks kind of unstoppable. I'm not entirely sure, who can take him down at this point. Like he's playing every game with a different strategy as well, which is really cool. Like he barely seems to play the same strats over and over and over again. I guess he's always been kind of doing that, where he doesn't seem to be super build order focused, and he kind of just wings it most of the time. At least that's what it feels like. And yeah, he definitely played better than Trap in that series. So well deserved victory for sure.
The Nidus network happened on the Romantic side, right? That was the GSL finals, because I've seen a ridiculous amount of games. Was that the Nidus with the changeling that didn't get taken out?
I don't think I saw that one actually.
Okay, I'm pretty sure. I was actually in pain, man, because there was this game where basically at one point Trap had Carriers and Storm and 4 bases and a worker lead, and then he just exposes himself in the center of the map, and he took a fight against pure Hydra Bane that he really shouldn't have taken. And of course Dark is amazing, and of course Dark is a great StarCraft 2 player, but Dark had no business he
I
had
saw
no
that.
business winning that game.
Yeah, no, that was a bit messy. Yeah, I guess it's also nerfs that come into the mix at that point, right? But that was definitely already countered, and then it still kind of worked. That was the final game, if I'm not mistaken, right? That was a bit of a funky one.
I thought the final game was the Nidus game, but yeah, the Hydra
Oh, I
Bane
thought
game
that's
was
what you
like
were talking about.
Yeah, game 3 or 4. It was just painful because I'm like, damn it, Trap, you do so many things so well. Why are you doing this? No matter how good Dark is, that is not up to Dark. That really is up to Trap. He shouldn't lose a game like that. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed GSL Season 2. Congrats to Dark for winning another Codas. The man makes it look easy. We know it ain't that easy. We also had our qualifiers already. That happened over the last few days. Couple of notable names are back. Gumiho and Classic both qualified, but Hero did not. What do you make of that, Coco?
I don't really know who Hero is, but I was happy to see Classic qualify because I think he went to the military right as I started playing StarCraft. So I got to catch a couple of his games like before he left, and I thought he was really fun to watch. So I'm glad that he's back. I hope he wins something.
Hey, you've only been playing StarCraft for a couple years then, Coco? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, 2 years.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So right around the same time you started the stream then with StarCraft as well?
Yeah, I discovered
okay,
cannon rushing,
nice.
and then was like, the world needs to see this, so I started streaming.
I remember the first time I saw you playing a game on stream, right? I turned into the channel. I'm like, hey, who's this? And I quite literally see a probe going across the map, and then 4 gateways going on the other side as well. I'm like, okay, I see what's going on here.
Yeah.
That sounds like
that's
the
my
trademark
stream.
flower.
Yep.
Well, we'll
what
talk
it
about
was.
that soon, guys. We just have to get through our results soon, and then we'll have a little chitty chat about how we started streaming and all that kind of stuff. So yes, awesome to see Classic and Gumio back. Sucks that Hero didn't make it. I would have loved to see him make it into Code S, or at least Code A. That's starting soon. Here you guys can see all the big names. I don't know when it actually kicks off, Code A that is, but I assume that it's in a couple of days.
So DRG
August
actually
2nd.
also made it like straight into Code S, which I thought was pretty cool. So he 2-0'd Cure and Keen, which is, it's pretty nice. I mean, I feel like a lot of people don't value DRG as highly as he probably should be. Like he's really good.
Mhm.
And yeah, 2-0 in Cure. I mean, it's just a couple of best of threes you need to win to go straight into Code S. But yeah,
Yeah, I honestly find it a little bit confusing what they've done because
Yeah.
in the old days it was very obvious that Code S is the Premier League and then Code A is basically the second division. But now it's all kind of part of the same, but they have still split it up, and then you have different qualifiers. I don't know, man. I'll just always see whenever the qualifying matches are set, and I see who has to beat who to make it into the group stage. That's where Old Man Rotti understands it. That's coming up real soon, so obviously keep a look at that. And of course, those games will still be brought to you by the one and only Tasteless and Artilsis. So next up, we have to talk quickly about everything that's been happening at the DreamHack Masters. This is the reason why we are kind of rushing our pylon shows, and this is the reason why nobody other than these two lovely people wanted to join us today. Because this is going on, and this is going on 6 out of 7 days. Lowko, be honest, are you a little bit annoyed about DreamHack being on literally 24/7?
Not annoyed, but it would be nice if they were just barely outside of my regular stream schedule. But it is what it is. No, I don't really mind. I mean, I know you go out of your way to usually not overlap with any StarCraft events, when they're being played at the same time. And I used to try and do that, but at this point, I just kind of stream. And if there's an event going on, unless I really want to watch it, obviously myself. But so be it.
But you've got a nice life, because I know that you really enjoy like the random video games too. Like on any day, I'm like, what is Lowko
Yeah.
doing? And either you're driving some battleship, or you're underwater, or you're running around with a little guy with a sword. I'm like, how does he find it fun? I wish I could find it fun, Lowko. I am mesmerized by your passion of all around video games.
Yeah. You just play RTS, I guess, right? Just Warcraft and StarCraft. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
even
play
Warcraft.
everything, man. It's fun.
Yeah, I know. We'll talk about that soon. Anyway, guys,
Okay.
DreamHack Masters. We just saw it on the screen. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the things that have been happening. So Latin America is done. That's very short. Surprise, surprise, guys. Special one, 4-0 over Calazur. Congrats, Juanito. China starts today. Taiwan is done. Has won it. That's actually kind of nice, because it's been nice a couple of times winning. No pun intended there. A few seasons in a row, but now Has is back. That obviously means that you guys get to see Has at the DreamHack Masters fall season finals. And Probe wins Oceania again. Back-to-back victories for Probe. Coco, are you familiar with Probe?
Yeah, he's really nice. I actually was watching his stream this morning when I was having breakfast, and he was can rushing a Zerg. I was very entertained.
I'm proud of him. Back-to-back victories in Oceania isn't easy, because last year he really had to fight for it. I think he only won 1 out of the 3. Now he's already won 2 out of 3, so Probe really dominating that region. And let's take a look quickly at what's currently happening in the DreamHack Masters Europe. As you guys know, that will continue today at 5 p.m. But we've got 4 groups of 8 players. Most of the players have done 4 games at this point, 4 series. Some of them have already done 5. Cobra, whenever you are ready. This is it. Lowko, do you want to share your thoughts real quick on what's unfolding in Group A?
Let me see. I honestly haven't seen any of the games, so that's
worries.
on me.
We
Like
don't have
Raynor
to
is
dive in
four-
super deep.
Yeah, I'm just looking at them real quick. Right, Raynor in first place, Showtime second, Christianer, Gungfu, Swordolf, Mana, Hearthstone, Cass. Nothing too surprising there right from the get-go, I suppose. I mean, I don't think anyone is too surprised to see Raynor in first place, but
Coco?
I always want to see like Hearthstone do. I want to see Hearthstone dominate that group, but it might be a little bit of Dutch bias there.
Yeah, I think I would have expected maybe Mana a bit higher. Like Christianer being third right now it's not surprising, because Christianer has really good PvP, and it's kind of like a PvP group. But I'm definitely wouldn't expect him to be getting out third. I guess it's not over yet, but I would expect Mana in the top 4 rather than what we have right now.
Yeah, no, I'm with you guys. I do think that Hearthstone, we could have expected Hearthstone to be a bit higher there. It's not that we are just Dutch biased, but Hearthstone is very good. And I don't think that we think that Cristiano or Gongfu is necessarily a whole lot better than Hearthstone, but it is PvP. What can you do? You know what's insane, guys? Is that last season, Gongfu started off 0-2 in his group, and then he somehow still turned it around, and then he beat Clem in the group stage, and he still made it into the playoffs. And we're like, wow, sick. This season, Gongfu starts 0-2, but I believe losing to Swordolf and Christianer. And you're like, well, that's it, mate. Then you're done in this group, because it only gets harder from here. And then he beats Mana and Hearthstone the following 2 playdays. So Gongfu is a wild one. Group A will continue today, I believe, by the looks of it. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Take a look at Group B quickly. Skillers and Maxi Paxi on top. Protoss Imba, yes or no, Coco?
Yes, definitely.
Right. Lowko.
Clem in third place there. So who did Clem lose to? Oh, to
He
Goblin.
lost to Goblin, mate.
2-1. All right, I see. Well, I'm still expecting Clem to make it out of that group, who I think is, him and Max Specs are probably the highest ranked players in that particular one. Let me see. Yeah, so Stefano is already out apparently. Blind Strange apparently in the bottom. Yeah,
Rotti, how
definitely
proud of
still.
you were of Goblin when those games were happening.
I was very proud. I'm surprised, Lowko. Didn't you see the storm of tweets about the I 3-0'd Clem in a best of 3? I'm an absolute beast.
I did see that, but I have no idea what was going on.
All right, well, we'll talk about it. But TLDR, Goblin was just really happy and made it seem like he obviously could have won all 3 games because he kind of threw game 2. Then Denver called him out for being really arrogant, and then everyone else is like, "What? There's nothing arrogant about it. Like, let the kid be happy." And then the following day, both Ziggy and Uthermal made a tweet among the lines of, "I got 3-0'd in a best of 3 by Vanya and Gabe. I'm an absolute beast." I don't know. It's pretty funny. I gotta say though, guys, I'm really surprised by, or not surprised, impressed is the word I want to use. Skillers, 4-0, 8-0. That's so sick.
So he played against Goblin so far. He played against Tavano, okay. Against Geralt, okay. Yeah, he still has some tough games coming up. So he also 2-0'd Strange. So he still has to play like some of the harder names in that group. But yeah, that's impressive. Like 8-0 so far. That's awesome. I feel like there's always like... Yeah, apparently so. I always feel like there's like a couple of Protoss players that we expect to do really well. And then there's like a group of Protoss players in Europe that always are really, really good. But you never really know exactly who's going to come out on top, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like Skillers is definitely one of those players in my mind. Where you sometimes just see him absolutely dominating, and other times you're just not entirely sure what to expect.
All right, moving on to Group C then. Unless you wanted to say something else about Group B, Coco?
No, pretty much been covered.
All right. Group C, we've got Gabe on top, together with Elaser. Elaser, second season in a row that he's just making group stages look easy so far. I gotta say, the center part of Group C looks really fun, man. You've got, obviously, Vanya, Denver, Uthermal, Lilbao, and Drogo. I feel all 5 of them are still gonna duke it out for those final 2 slots to make it into the playoffs. If I put you on the spot right now, Lowko, who of those 5 is gonna finish top 4 in this group?
Ooh. Vanya, Denver, Uthermal, Lilbo.
And Drogo.
And Drogo. Oh yeah, Drogo as well, obviously. I mean, obviously Uthermal, right? Because not only is he a Dutchman, he's also in Twitch chat, so obviously Uthermal. And I mean, I kind of want to see Vanya doing really well. I always like Vanya.
I feel like, mate, if I know that one time, this is a fun story for you guys at home. But a long time ago, I said, what did I say exactly about you, Lowko? I said something about like, I don't want to call Lowko an all-inner, but he is very aggressive. And you took that too hard, man. You're like, wow, he's calling me an all-inner? But if I have to compare you to one pro, it would probably be Vanya, mate.
I do play very aggressively now. But back then, I used to try and macro most of the games, except against players who usually you lose to, right? So I played against Rotti a couple times. I think I've told this story before, but I'm not sure. Anyways, I played against Rotti a bunch of times in a row on the ladder, right? And I keep losing over and over and over again. I was like, okay, that's fine. Because he's like, hundreds of MMR above me. It's totally okay. And then one time I end up beating him. And I was so excited about it. So I decided to even go as far as to watch the VODs, right? So I watched the VOD and I literally hear Rotti go, well, I've beaten Lowko like 14 times in a row playing Stargates. I will play Twilight Council this one time because it's Lowko. I'm like, dude, really? Like, this is the one time I win is when he doesn't go Stargate on purpose. Like, he's like self-handicapping.
I do remember the game though. It was on Automaton, and I gotta say you played really well because I was pretty sure. I was like, I'm gonna warp in some Zealot, some Stalkers. It's gonna be okay. Suddenly, I'm like, damn, he's got roaches everywhere. He's got Brood Lords. I was like, well done, Lowko. But yeah, I
one
like
time
Vanya,
I beat Rotti.
I think Vanya is your Russian spirit animal. And like both of you guys like to build roaches, or maybe not too many drones, just a decent amount that you can get a nice amount of roaches out.
I built Queens now, Rotti. Queens is where it's at.
All right, ready. Coco, Vanya, Denver, Uthermal, Lilba, and Drogo. Who of those 5 is still, or who of the 2 of those 5 are gonna make it into the playoffs?
It's gotta be Euthermal and Vanya the Goat, right? Vanya he's like a secret legend. He just has some crazy builds and he can pull off a lot of stuff.
Then last but not least, we've got Group D, Serral, Marine Lord, Hellraiser, Soul Shadowne, Lambo, DNS, Milky Cow. If you would have told me this is how the standings are of Group D, pre-play days in, I would have giggled and be like, no, that's not the case. I think this has been a very surprising group so far,
Yeah.
Coco. Or Lambo, Lowko, whatever you want.
What happened there too? So Lambo is currently in 6th place. Who did he?
He lost to
Oh,
Hellraiser and Soul.
That's rough. I think a lot of people expect Lambo to be in top of that group. Soul obviously also really good. Marine Lord also really good. I mean, Sarah in 1st place, I guess, not too surprising. But yeah, the rest of that group is... I guess they still have a lot of games to play.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be Sarah versus Lambo again later as well. That's it's got to be a rematch.
Yeah, I think the group, I feel a little bit bad for Lambo. Like, it obviously sucks to be starting off at, like, kind of feeling like a handicap because he's down a couple games. I still definitely think he could get 4th place in the group, or maybe even 3rd, depending on how the rest of the matches go. I think Lambo plays really well when he, not like feels like the underdog, but I don't know if you guys remember the last DreamHack when he was against Serral and I forget who else, but to, like, make it as far as he did, he beat a lot of really good names. So I think he plays really well when he's coming back.
He even beat Gabe, and that was
Yeah.
for all the marbles. While Gabe most of the time beats Lambo. Sorry, Lambo, but that's just kind of how it is. Most of the time, I feel like Gabe has the upper hand. But that was probably the biggest series they ever played, like elimination match season, or deep into the main event of the playoffs. And that time, Lambo was victorious. And don't forget, he almost beat Raynor. That was so close. And he almost got that top 2. So I'm with you. Even though 1-2 or 0-2 it was even is a really ugly start, I still believe that Lambo can finish top 4 in this group. I also think out of everyone in this group, he is the most likely to take a map of Serral or maybe even beat Serral because he's done that before. So no man overboard, but no more slip-ups allowed. He's really going to have to be on point, especially his next match against Marine Lord is a key one. This will all continue later today, guys. DreamHack Masters goes live every day, basically 5 p.m. Central European time, which is 11 a.m. on the East Coast and 8 a.m. on the West Coast. Well, I say every day, but it's 6 out of 7 days. Monday is our 1 day off, and that's when we have those European Pro Tour weeklies that we just covered. So that was kind of it for competitive StarCraft. As you guys can see, this is a busy time. It feels like it shouldn't be so busy, guys, but there is so much happening all the time, isn't there?
There's always so many tournaments going on, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, especially when we're online right now, I feel like there's literally something going on 24/7. Like if we looked right now, I'm sure there's some random tournament happening.
Over a ThePylonShow with Coco on it, I don't think anyone would dare to do that.
Disgusting.
There's like loads of other smaller tournaments happening too, right? So like
yes,
you know, Limo League, and there's loads of them that come to mind. It's sick. It's really cool.
They get much smaller than that, mate. There are people playing for chicken wings and pizzas all the time too. You laugh, but it's a real thing.
It's true.
All right, and that brings us to our actual little... Oh, yeah, this is This Week in StarCraft. If you guys want, we can cover this quickly, too, as well. Then we can get it out of the way. You know what? Let's just do This Week in StarCraft, and then we talk about streaming. I'm okay with it, because last week we actually didn't do it. Completely missed it. I think we all kind of covered this. Obviously, NA has started, too, but there hasn't been too many games being played yet, so we didn't think it was worth bringing up on stream. Are you cheering for M. Canning as a diehard every night, Coco?
Of course. I mean, I'm watching all the games, watching the VODs 24/7, learning. You know me.
But yes, it's happening in each and every single region. Obviously, Korea is technically done already because what is the DreamHack Masters fall for us is the GSL code as in Korea. I know that's a little bit weird, or Season 2 that is. So basically, they are now starting Season 3 while we are not even done yet with Season 2. But I don't believe that Season 3 officially starts before the season finals of DreamHack Masters Fall are over. But anyway, this kind of makes sense. This is it. There's a lot of StarCraft happening over at ESL_SC2. And don't forget to also follow ESL_SC2B on Twitch. because there's a lot of really good games happening on the B stream too, each and every single day. Sometimes, I don't know if you guys have noticed this or how much you've been watching, but because there are so many Protosses right now, this is a problem. Obviously, it's a plague. Okay, the server is being flooded by Protoss players. They're all building Void Rays. What this means is that you get a lot of PvP, and they obviously don't want to put all the PvPs on the mainstream at ESL because then it's like, wow, watching Protoss all day. But then sometimes I feel like the matches on the B stream are legitimately better than the matches on the A stream, just because they want to have a TVZ on the mainstream. But then on the B stream, you have like Gillis and Gerald duking it out in 35-minute bangers, and I'm like, well, I know what I'm watching.
No, you're definitely right. Like, there's a lot of Protoss versus Protoss in some of those groups, but I guess it happens in most tournaments, right? Where they want to also show not just different matchups, but also different games and different players off primarily. So if there's a Serral game going on, you want to have Serral on the mainstream at least a couple times, right? Even if it's going to be a bit of a one-sided show, but yeah.
I mean, it's funny you bring that up because I had to like fill in my little preferred matches for the day because I am casting DreamHack today. And then it was like Serral versus Milky Cow or another PvP, I believe. And I'm like, I mean, like,
Milky
yes,
Cow's going to show what's up.
Yeah. I mean, I think Milky Cow is awesome, but yeah, that's obviously a bit of a mismatch. He's not quite ready for that yet. I was like, I don't know. I guess I'll go for the other match again. Like, I don't even know what my other choice was. But it also feels weird to put Rainer and Sarah on the B stream. Basically because they're too good. Like, that's what it boils down to. It's
They're
like,
going to win anyway.
Yeah. I mean, this is a funny little side story for you guys. This happened at the last Intalk Stream Masters Katowice that was offline. There was a weird scenario in the group unfolding where basically we hadn't shown Hurricane once yet on the mainstream. And whenever they ask my opinion, I always try to at least give everyone that makes it to a big event one series on the mainstream because I think that's just fair. I think that's what you owe to them. It's very easy to put Maru and Seru on the mainstream each and every single game. But the TLDR was a bit complicated, but basically Hurricane had a series against another, maybe Ragnarok or something. And if he won that, he would have advanced, while Seru versus TY didn't really matter by the looks of it when they asked us, because we expected Seru to win his previous match, and then that match would be irrelevant. I was like, I think you guys should go for the Hurricane match. And everyone was like, oh, that's stupid, like, it's obviously Seru TY. But I was like, well, we should go for the Hurricane match if the Seru TY one doesn't matter, because the Hurricane is playing for his tournament live, and he hasn't even been on the mainstream yet. So I just thought it was fair. Then they took my opinion, but I did say only if Seru TY doesn't matter. Then the results changed, and Seru TY did matter because Seru really needed to win it, and then obviously that's the match that you want to show. They're like, oh yeah, but you said we have to do the Hurricane game, and I'm like, well, I mean, I said that.
You asked me 8 hours ago.
Yeah. That was like before Seru got 2-0'd by whoever he got 2-0'd by. Maybe that was Hurricane actually. I'm like, no, we should probably do Seru TY, guys. But they're like, it's too late to change. It's on you. I'm like, oh, I don't think this was on me. But
the production guy has like a list of games at the beginning of the day they're gonna cover, and they're gonna follow that one, and it's not gonna change.
Yeah. And then like everyone was like, how the hell are they showing Seru TY in the B stream? And then people were like, it's Rotterdam's fault. And I'm like, oh, I was just trying to be nice to Hurricane, give him some mainstream time. Thought it was the irrelevant series. Anyway, I guess we'll save the. Yeah. You know what? Let's just speedrun it now because then we can have a fun chat about streaming together. This week in StarCraft 2. So the way this works, guys, is that there are a lot of tournaments happening. And instead of having 17 pages for each and every single tournament, we decided to compress it a little bit. And here you guys can just see some of the results of a lot of the online tournaments that have been taking place. Ollie Malik, GSL qualifiers, Rotti TV, Summer Championship. Rotti really can't rest anything either, right? Oh. That man just needs to stay busy 24/7.
Didn't he like literally just like move a couple weeks ago? He's still going at it. That's probably only halfway done. He's still unpacking and he's casting 20 hours a day. Fantastic.
I love how we have the final of the La Espira Desaflantes Fall 2021. X got a walkover. I'm like, well, I'm happy with that one, guys.
He lost power before the grand finals. That sucks.
That does
suck. We also still have the bots tournament going on. Lowko, do you ever follow that kind of stuff?
I don't, but I kind of want to. I would love to cast some of like the final games or something of like one of the bots tournaments. That would be really fun.
I
It
think that would
seems
be cool.
I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things where a lot of people are interested in it, but you don't necessarily want to watch, the round of 16 of a tournament like that. You probably want to watch the grand finals. Yeah, might be fun.
Few more online tournaments taking place. Ryu getting a victory over Jim Rising in the Copa Hyperion. We've got Forjumi beating Trifax. Coco, do you ever catch the Forjumi stream?
I rated him like a week ago, but I don't watch that much. But he seems really nice.
Wow. I mean, that basically means that in 22 months you're going to be really good friends with Forjumi, right?
Definitely, yeah. I'm now that I've hosted him, that's my plan. Host them and then befriend them.
Well, Jumi is a sweetheart. Congrats to him for beating Trifax in the final. He's a Polish Zerg player, quite good too. We've got a couple of tournaments happening from Alpha X as well. If there's any result, guys, that stands out for y'all, feel free to talk about it. Lowko, something that catches your eye?
Lenok 5-4 against Nice. Yeah, it's a best of 9, I guess. It's a long series. Nothing too crazy, I suppose. I always like the junior championships. They're always fun. Some really good players that are like 14 years old that are so much better than me. It's nice.
There's a lot of very good youngsters in the European scene. I gotta say, like, organizing best of 9s is always a bit tricky, because if you have a banger of a series, a 5-4, that's awesome. But it does get a bit sad if somebody's up like 3-0, and then they're winning game 4, and you're like, uh-oh, this guy's about to get 5-0 in a best of 9. That feels a little bit brutal. Coco, this week in Brood War, how many games of Brood War have you played in your life, Coco?
I've played and seen 0 games ever.
Yeah?
I don't think I've ever seen it.
The campaign is at the very least playable. Like, if you're gonna do anything, the campaign is fun. Like, that's a good stream as well. I think there's gonna be a lot of people that want to watch Coco play the campaign in StarCraft 1. Yeah.
I would actually watch it, Lowko, so...
Yeah, it's a good campaign. It's a fun story. Yeah. Wait, have you played the StarCraft 2 campaign then, actually?
No, I've never played. I played
Oh,
one
shit.
mission.
Yeah, you
It's
should
just
play
so
you should do
slow.
like couple weeks of streams where you just play the campaigns. It's fun.
But I'm an incredible zoomer. Like anything that I have to be slow and wait for the waves and stuff, I just lose my mind.
Is your attention span that low? Yeah.
Yes, it is very, very, very low.
You get bored halfway through a TikTok. You're like, this takes too long. Next.
Yeah, it's longer than 14 seconds, and I'm like, next.
Yeah, in StarCraft 1, you do have to rebuild your base about a gazillion times. And you're like, okay, you could have just started me off with 20 workers this game instead. But...
Yeah.
I have to admit that I finished the Wings of Liberty campaign, but I don't think I ever finished Heart of the Swarm. I got very close to the end, and Legacy of the Void, I think 7 or 8 missions, and then I threw in the towel.
Oh, wow.
The ladder was calling my name, Lowko. What can I do?
Yeah, fair enough. No, it's okay.
They're actually all pretty fun. I feel like most people who go through the campaigns, whether they are actual StarCraft 2 players or not, or Brood War players or not, they will tell you that the campaigns are good. So maybe Coco. The thing is, Coco doesn't like it if your games last longer than 6 minutes anyway. So if she's in a mission that takes 15 minutes, she's gonna get.
You gotta survive for 30. You're like, oh god.
Coco's attacking. No, like that doesn't work, Lowko. That doesn't work. The mission is like survive for 30 minutes, and Coco will go out of her base to attack the computer. And be like, can I end the game?
You're joking, but that literally happened in the one campaign thing I played. It literally took me like 15 tries because I was getting so like. I was like twitching. I'm like, I gotta go kill him. I gotta go kill him.
All right, fine. Maybe you shouldn't play it then. But I still think they're fun. Yeah.
Maybe I will.
I mean, that's one of the many things that I absolutely love about watching Coco stream, where Coco knows that the best things he could do is throw up a battery and sit back. But instead, she will run down her own ramp with Zealous and just bring the fight to the guy that's already going to attack her anyway. It's a joy. Anyway, guys, that brings us to our main discussion point of the day. This is going to be a very chill episode for us, guys, because we have DreamHack, and it was hard to really find a big time slot, of course. But it will still be really fun and interesting to talk to you two about streaming. So maybe we can kick things off with, how did we get started? Lowko, I feel like you've got a really interesting story, because you took the route that everyone else takes, but then the other way around. So talk to us.
So I started making YouTube videos a really long time ago. And I think I started my YouTube channel in 2008. And the idea was I just made a video that I wanted to share with friends. And then I needed to find a website where I could post it. And YouTube just happened to be a place where people would share. Like this is long before there was like a partnership program or anyone made any money, right? It was just
What
like
kind
it
of
was like-
video was this though?
it's a RuneScape video.
Ah, okay.
I don't know if you've ever played that. I think we talked about it at some point, but yeah, no. No, you just play Warcraft or StarCraft, never mind. But no, I uploaded a RuneScape video and I shared it with a couple friends, and then I noticed some people were watching it as well that weren't, share like I didn't share it directly with them. There were like other people watching it. And I thought this was kind of cool, so I made like a couple more videos, and then over the years, I think this was like I started playing StarCraft 2 in like 2010. And then over the years, I started uploading some StarCraft content as well, and a couple of guides here and there on, how I thought you should play the game. And if you watch those back right now, like it's literally a 2-minute long video about me showing my StarCraft 2 settings, and it's like, okay, I'm running the game in full screen because it gives better frame rates. So yeah, it was very basic, at least initially, and I didn't use a camera and I didn't use a voiceover and anything like that. I don't know exactly when I started streaming, but I think this must have been like 2012, 2013 or so. I started streaming on Own3D. I don't know if you remember that platform. That's
Yeah,
a
of
long
course.
time ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So I streamed there for a while. I think like a year maybe or so, and then that one ended up going down, and I switched to Twitch. And now I've been there for a long time.
Why did you
Been a while.
start on Owned?
I don't know. I just saw a couple people streaming there, and I figured I'm going to stream there. I have no idea. I think Twitch wasn't that called like Justin TV or something? I don't even know if it
Yeah,
was
but that
called
was
Twitch
way,
yet.
that was way earlier. That was like
Oh, was that
literally
even
20
earlier?
Yeah, that was 2010. Like I think at
Okay.
2011 it was already Twitch.
Okay. Yeah. So, anyways, I switched to Twitch at some point and never really stopped doing YouTube. I feel like a lot of people are doing Twitch and then they upload YouTube highlights and stuff, which I think is pretty good too. But oh, Mana's saying, Lowko, I think you streamed on Owned because Mouse Sports has a sponsorship with them back in the day. That might be that might be the reason. Like there were yeah, that may very well have been the reason. I'm not even entirely sure anymore as to why I specifically chose that one, but I guess if it's something other people were doing as well, I just copied what they were doing. That makes sense.
You were part of Mouse Sports?
A little while, yeah. I was doing some casting here and there, but in the end, it wasn't really anything. I wasn't really doing anything important. I just had I wanted to be part of a clan, and I was in Quantic for a little bit, and then in Mouse Sports, I just wanted to be part of a clan so I could seem legit. You know what I mean? I just wanted to have the clan tag in front of my name.
Hey,
Yeah, that was
imagine 2021, an 8-year partnership going strong between Big Gabe and Lowko. The possibilities, mate.
Yeah, I didn't really get anything out of it either, so I was just kind of, part of the team, and I got the clan tag, but that was, that was about the extent of the whole thing.
I guess, sorry, Coco, we'll hop to you soon, but obviously Lowko's starting story is kind of interesting. I guess it was kind of easy for you to get things going on Twitch because you were able to use the other platforms you had and tell some of your viewers to go to your Twitch channel, or how did it start off originally for you?
I think actually what Coco did is really hard because you basically just go live on Twitch and you hope for the best, right? Like Twitch doesn't really have a whole lot of discoverability, right? They try and do that right now a little bit when you go to a category and it doesn't sort itself anymore from highest viewers to lowest viewers. But on Twitch, discoverability, I feel like the biggest streamers are always the ones that get even more views. And then probably if you go to the StarCraft 2 category right now, there's dozens of people that are streaming with 3 people at the most, right? There's a lot of people that just have a really hard time growing up there. But yeah, I did start on YouTube, and I didn't have really that many subscribers back then, but I definitely think it did boost it. There's definitely some people that came to check it out because they've heard of my name before. Yeah.
How long did it take for you until you started to get pretty decent viewership on Twitch, or was it right off the get-go?
No, I think it took a year or so of doing it consistently. Because initially I was just streaming whenever, and that really doesn't work very well for me. I need to be. We already discussed this. I live an old man schedule, not just because I find it convenient, but also because I find it works really well when it comes to making content and being live at the same time every day. So after I started being a lot more consistent, I think that helped out quite a lot. That was good.
But 1 year is insanely good anyways though. If it only took you 1 year to get good viewers, that's crazy. It's really cool.
Yeah, but I think at that point I was making YouTube videos for 5 years, right? So I was not
That's true.
really doing it from scratch. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
it does help.
All
I still
right,
think it's
well,
worth it though, like to upload YouTube content as well, even if you mostly stream on Twitch. If you have the time for it, I do think YouTube highlights are super helpful.
but it's also a skill though. Like a lot of people are perfectionists and they don't just want to upload videos that they know are not as good as they could be, and then they just don't do it at all because they don't want to upload
Yeah.
something that they're not very proud of.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, so it's the same as on Twitch, right? You should definitely try and be consistent. But it's hard when you have nothing to upload. Like if you only want to upload a really good game or whatever, and then you play like just 24 terrible ladder games in a row, and you just can't really post any of it. Yeah.
I feel like you can just make an awesome YouTube channel with the Look Who I Beat. Like imagine Coco if you would just have a Look Who I Beat channel. Like DNS would be on there. Black Widow has fallen last weekend. Brad Okeride, like I mean Coco, that YouTube channel could really help boosting your Twitch channel.
Yeah.
It's bullying to do it.
It's
I
just that
can't
the
do
short-
it to them.
The short videos don't really do well with ad revenue though. So that's if it's like a 4-minute long game, it's a little bit,
Pre-game
I just
analysis and post-game analysis. Don't worry,
Yeah.
Coco, you get.
I just started playing
Exactly.
macro for the money.
That's StarCraft YouTube money, sure.
Because like I didn't want to become this person, but YouTube revenue forced me.
It pushed
Alright.
me over the edge.
All right, Loco, really fun to hear about how things got started for you. Coco, I feel like what Loco said is super true because I think it is incredibly hard to stream StarCraft, and that is honestly your main game. I know once in a blue moon you stream like some Little Nightmares or GeoGuessr, but it's safe to say that StarCraft 2 is your main game by far and away. When did you start streaming, and how did things get rolling for you?
So I've been streaming for a little bit over 2 years now. I think maybe like 2 years and a couple months. But my brother actually bought me StarCraft like 10 years ago because we used to watch StarCraft tutorials together. But I never played. I just had like played the arcade and stuff like that. So he bought me it 10 years ago and I just had it on my computer forever. And then 2 years ago, I just saw it sitting there and was like, I could try a ladder game. I've never tried one really. And I got cheese and I was really mad. So I was like, I'm going to do it better. So then I learned what cheese was and I started cheesing. And within like a week of playing, I was like, the world needs this. And I like fired up a stream. And like my first stream was like it was pretty successful. Like I got like a lot of views on my first stream ever. And I was like, I guess I could try this. And it's kind of been like that since then.
So when was your what was the actual date of your first stream? How long did you stream? And when you say pretty successful, what did you mean? Like are we
Well-
talking 5 viewers, 15, 25, 35?
I think my first stream got 40 views, and it was like maybe 30 minutes long. I was
What?
just really nervous. Yeah,
Pretty
it was. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea why anyone would choose to watch that, but yeah, it was. I can tell you, I guess, my first stream. I
That's
don't know when it is,
insane, by
but-
the way. Like your very first stream ever, while you didn't promote it on like any other platform, right? Because you don't really use Twitter, you didn't have like a following on anything. So the first time you ever went live with StarCraft 2, you got up to 40 viewers?
Yeah, I have no idea how that happened. I was pretty lucky, I guess. Maybe it was.
Did you
Maybe
get
no one was
hosted
live.
or rated or...
No, it was just I just went live and I had like I was on a laptop with like the world's worst microphone. I was using my laptop microphone. So you could barely hear me. The camera was like an undershot of my chin, so I looked like a beached whale. And I was just playing StarCraft and people liked it.
That's insane. I actually didn't notice, and I find that stunning. Because what Loco said is incredibly true. I think the hardest thing on Twitch, I mean, there's many other things that are difficult, and we'll talk about that soon. But I think the hardest thing for people that don't have a following elsewhere on the internet is to go from 0 to 10 viewers even. Like 10 viewers is really hard to get. Because like Loco said, most people are streaming for 1 or 2, and most of the time that's their nightbot then, or it's themselves having the stream open on the second monitor.
That's
So
what
it's
it
really
is,
hard. Yeah, it's really hard to get an initial start. And you have no idea how it happened, Coco. It just happened.
Just happened. It was just meant to be, I guess.
Did you
that's
did you
awesome.
beat DNS on your first day ever by any chance? Maybe that's why people stuck around. or-
No, it took like a year to beat DNS, you know. I feel a bit bad. It's really funny to bring it up because I'm obviously really proud of it. But I do wonder if sometimes he's just in random streams and he hears someone mention it and he's like, fuck, and just like closes the stream and walks away. Like,
I honestly
And-
think
yeah.
that those are games that he can smile about. Like if
I
it was
hope
me, like Yeah, I think you can just chuckle about it. I think like certain losses in competitive tournaments, like when he made it to the playoffs in DreamHack, and that's a like a best of 5 that just goes terribly wrong. I think that kind of stuff really stings. But I think losing one map in a best of 3 against you, I think he can chuckle about it. I don't think it's a big
I
deal.
hope so. It was a pretty funny game.
What about you, Kevin?
Um, I mean, like, it's actually not fair to compare my situation to the situation of most other streamers because I do agree with everything that you said, and that's why I'm so impressed that Coco got 40 views on her first stream. But I got really lucky because when I started streaming, my very first stream ever was after I already commentated tournaments for basically a year and a half. Because I commentated the very first Home Story Cup ever. That was a very, very, very tiny Home Story Cup, basically in the kitchen of Dennis's old tiny apartment. Like he moved 3 times since then, and it just got bigger and bigger. So imagine how small the first one was. But that was somewhere in 2010. Then I got hired by ESL, so I casted all the basically the European Pro Tour weeklies. Well, back then we called them Go for StarCraft 2s. We did all the qualifiers for the Intel Extreme Masters events, and people already knew me from Warcraft 3. So even though I never streamed and didn't have like necessarily a following on Twitch, people knew who I was because I was commentating the events. And StarCraft 2 was pretty damn big back then because a lot of the other games were just not around. So whether people like StarCraft or not, that was kind of like the cool thing to watch. And once I moved to America to work for NASL, which was a company in Rancho Cucamonga, at one point it was like I really want to stream because I was like in a house where people were also talking about streaming, and I saw like some other commentators stream, and they got a lot of viewers, and I was like, hey man, I think I'm better than them. By the way, like I feel like I'm not getting the credit I deserve because they're all saying that these guys are so good, but I'm better, okay? And I was convinced I was better, so I was like, I'm gonna figure this out. So I just like downloaded OBS or no, not OBS. What did we use back then?
XSplit,
Was-
probably, man.
Yeah,
That's what we all
XSplit.
used. Yeah.
Yeah, XSplit. And I was like, I gotta get onto this. I have to show the world how good I am. And I kid you not, literally the very first day I ever streamed, I got up to 3.4k viewers.
What?
For
That
real?
was my
That's insane.
Yeah, but that was just StarCraft back then. It was like
Yeah.
mental. Like on the right side of Team Liquid, you had like Idra with 7k, the Muslim with 5k, the Canadian Protoss TT1, I think, often had a lot of viewers. So the very first day I ever streamed, and I thought I was good, right? Because that was like my little ego that I thought was good. If I think back of how I played Wings of Liberty, that was pretty atrocious. It was like a 7-gate all-in against Zerg, 4-gate against Protoss. And what did I do against Terran? I don't even know what I did against Terran. Probably like 2-base blink or something along those lines. It really wasn't very interesting, but since nobody was good, if you could just do anything, it was kind of good, and my ranking was kind of high. So yeah, that's when I started streaming. I was like, hey, this streaming is pretty cool, man. My channel's going really fast, and I've got a lot of viewers. And it wasn't about like, back then you couldn't even have subscribers to your channel, so there was no such thing as subs. It wasn't for the money. I didn't have a PayPal button at all. It was just like, I want to show the world that I can play StarCraft, okay? Because people think I don't know what I'm talking about, but I know what I'm talking about. So that's how it got started for me.
So you played a lot of StarCraft before that off stream, I guess?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I played all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I only started getting serious, and maybe that can be our next topic. Basically, this is a fun story that I have shared on my stream, but never on the Pylon Show. It says, when I worked for NASL, at one point, NASL, the company, wasn't doing very well. And they're like, hi, we're also going to run World of Tanks content. And I'm like, what? I was like, this is not why I
It
moved to
doesn't
America,
end with
guys.
craft. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is that a Blizzard game that I'm not aware of? Like, what are you guys talking about?
If it was Minecraft, maybe I would have considered it. But
Yeah. And they're like, yeah, because of the contract with Blizzard, or they're not doing what we want them to do. So I don't know why we just took a look at This Week in Broodwar. But I was like, okay, what does that mean? They're like, well, you have 2 choices. One, you're actually gonna work on World of Tanks 40 hours a week. And I'm like, what's option 2? And they're like, well, you will become a part-timer for our company, so you will work 26 hours a week. And the other 14 hours, you can use it on StarCraft if that's what you want to do. That would obviously mean that my salary would get a lot lower because I would only get paid for 26 hours. And I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. And I'm like, well, now I've got a lot of extra time. And I do want to stay active in StarCraft because this is why I came to America in the first place. I didn't came to America to work on the freaking World of Tanks. So I'm like, I'm just going to use the extra days that I have off right now to stream StarCraft. And that's kind of how I became a streamer, because I wasn't streaming in the beginning to make money. I didn't even know that that was really a thing. It was just out of an ego point of view. I was like, I want to show the world I'm good. And then I was like, damn it, to stay relevant, I better get to it. And that's when I started streaming a lot. So that's kind of my story on how I became a streamer eventually. And then obviously at one point I didn't work for NASL anymore at all. And then I just kind of became not like I was still always a full-time commentator, but there wasn't anything to truly full-time commentate, right? Like I was not going to an office anymore 7 days a week. I would only go to offices once I got hired to cast, which was very often in America. Like we had the WCS Premier League, we had all the Red Bull events. So there was still plenty of in-studio days, but it was never as a full-time employee. It was always as a contractor. So that's kind of how I became a streamer. Lowko, I guess
What
for
do you
you...
prefer? I'm actually curious. What do you prefer? Do you prefer being like a full-time employee and then streaming on the side, or do you like it better this way? You've kind of been on both sides.
Yeah. I want to say it was very fun to work with NESL. Like, ESL in Europe was all right too, but it was a bit different because it was just me and Mr. Bitter. And then, like, a whole bunch of guys that were kind of, like, we were sharing offices back then. And then we were allowed to play games during work time because that's basically getting ready for your job, right? Like, it's important to stay active. And then people got like, no, hey, your keyboard, don't you have anything better to do? And I'm like, this is actually my job, man. Like, just because your job sucks, don't get mad at me because my job's playing video games. So it was a bit tense, you know. I know that ESL got a lot chiller about that over the years. And they realized that someone who works in event planning probably shouldn't be in the same room as a commentator that likes to play games. So they fixed on that. And ESL was honestly really fun. Like just going to the office every day, work together with Mr. Bitter, Froden, and Greetorp, and then a production crew, and all get together trying to make the best possible show. It was very fun. And in a way, in my opinion, it was a lot more relaxing than being in charge of your own hours and forcing yourself to do this, do that. Because you're just living a 9 to 5, and the moment that office is closed, you just walk home. Like that was a fun day. And then it's just like, it's a chiller lifestyle, in my opinion, to just go to an office and make your hours there, be part of a group project. While if you're at home and you're in charge of your own time and you're in charge of making your own money, I think it can be very stressful, and that's why I think what you're doing is very important, to have like a good schedule, because it's very important to overwork yourself and then get burned out and then you start getting grumpy. I don't know what I prefer. I think in a way, when you do everything for yourself, it's a little bit more rewarding, right? When things go well, if you have good streams or you get invited to cast tournaments, you can be maybe slightly more proud of it than when you're just working for a boss into an office. But I don't know. I think ideally, I want the mix that I had after NASL, where you go into a studio to cast live events, which I did together with Nathanius mostly back then. That's super cool because then you still get I'm in a professional environment. I see people. We work together on the product. But then you also go home and you can still do your own thing. I think that's the best part, but it's hard to find it these days.
It's easier to shut off at that point, right? Like, I think that's kind of the trap when you're streaming from home or you're doing YouTube content and stuff. Like, technically speaking, I could sit on the couch, you know, after being done and still, you know, refresh analytics and like message people back about things for tomorrow. And it's kind of, I guess it's nice to work in an office and then go home and, you know, we should set that up in the Netherlands, man. Just hire an office building and get all the streamers. That would actually be sick.
Team
Maybe
Liquid got a fancy office, no? In Utrecht. Maybe we can all just come over to the Team Liquid headquarters.
Dude, that's like an hour from where I live. Less, it's fine. We can go. It's a little far away for you, I guess.
Yeah. All right, but before you ask me that question, and I had to share my entire life story, Lowko, I want to ask you guys, when did you start thinking like, hey, this is something that I just want to do all the time? Was it pretty obvious for you, Lowko, that you were going to do this full time, or was there still a chance that you were going to study or do something else with your life?
Yeah, so I finished high school and then I started studying, and this was, I want to say like 2011 or so, when I first went to university, and that was fine. It was fun, and I did it, and I commuted there, and then I lived with my parents, and I would make videos on the side, and I wanted to do some streaming as well, and then I did that for like 6 years, and I never really finished anything, only to just constantly run into the problem that I was trying to juggle like 3 different things, right? So I was trying to do the Twitch streaming, I was trying to do YouTube, and I was trying to do school at the same time. And at some point I realized, you know what, this kind of, I don't really enjoy this. I'm probably going to get a burnout by the time I'm like 24 at this space. Probably shouldn't be doing all of this. So at some point I decided to take a year off uni. even though I was relatively close to being done, which I still am now. And I figured, you know what, I'm just gonna give it a try, see how it goes. My parents actually, like I hear a lot of streamers or YouTubers or whatever that are in similar situations. My parents actually, they were a little bit concerned for me because they actually thought I was gonna, fall apart by the age of 25 or whatever. So they actually advised me like, hey, you should probably, give this a try. If you want to give it a try right now would be a good moment because you're not married, you don't have any kids, you don't really have any responsibilities. You may as well just give it a try and see how it goes. And they kind of expected, I guess, that I probably would go back to school again after a year, but that still hasn't happened. So, so yeah, I basically gave it a try at some point, and it's been a while.
Then you show that Twitch dashboard to your mom and the YouTube page. You're like, Mom, I don't think I need to go to school anytime soon. So I'm sure they're in full
How do you do
support.
that at Coco? Like, how do you juggle? Like, you go to school as well, right?
I just graduated with my master's like 2 months ago.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was wondering how you were doing that, because I found that very difficult, but okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
The
Nice,
first
congrats.
year I was streaming, I only streamed 6 hours a week, I think, because I was 50% working at a bar and then school and then also trying to stream. So my first year of streaming was not very much. But
Okay.
now I'm streaming a lot more.
Nice.
Did you ever think of bringing a camera or a streaming backpack to the bar and then stream yourself being a bartender?
No. You
No?
just see me covered in beer at the end of the night and grumpy, and I'm just like slapping beers down, like, get out of here, talking to people.
All right, before we talk about you streaming a little bit more after that, how was the life as a bartender, Coco? How is that in Norway?
That was my favorite job I've ever had. I've had like a million jobs throughout my life, and I loved being a bartender because, first of all, it's the first time I've ever had authority over anything. Like, I'm just standing behind the bar, crossing my arms, like, yeah, what do you want? And they think that I'm smart when I'm like, yeah, I'll recommend a beer for you. Like, it was so much fun. I loved
Loved
being a
it.
bartender. Yeah. Like,
So why did you
barely
quit?
seeing over the counter. It was just too much with school because I would often work till like 3 a.m. and then I would get home at like 4 and then I would have an exam the next day at like 8. So it was just became too much because
Yeah,
the night shifts. Yeah.
3 or 4? They party hard in Norway or what?
Yeah, like the bars would close at like 3 on Saturdays and stuff like that. Friday and Saturday they'd close at 3 and then I live like outside of the city, so it takes like an hour to get home. So it was a hike, but it was really fun. I'm really glad I did it for a year. It was a great experience.
I just realized that when I introed you guys, I didn't really do a proper job. But obviously, guys, Lowko is a Dutch StarCraft 2 content creator, and Coco is an American StarCraft 2 streamer who moved to Norway a couple of years ago. So, Coco, after your first stream, you got up to 40 viewers, which is honestly insane. That is so hard to do, especially, I think, in a game like StarCraft 2 in 2018 or whatever year that may have been exactly for you, 2018, 2019. Where did you take it after that? So, you had your first day, you're like, wow, people liked it. And then what?
Then I don't think I streamed again for like 2 weeks after that first stream because I was never really planning on being a streamer. Like you probably don't expect this from me, but I'm a pretty shy person. Like even now, it takes me like 5 minutes to press go live. I just like stare at it. I'm like, oh God, am I gonna do it? But so after that first stream, I was kind of just like, I guess I could go live again, and I just went live again for like 2 hours at a time for the first year, and yeah, kind of just spiraled into where I am today.
What you just said there, I think, is an interesting thing to touch upon because that's something that a lot of streamers have struggled with and have shared on Twitter and stuff. Lowko, did you ever have those days where you open your OBS and you look at it and you feel like there is a voice in your head that says you should stream, but you just can't get yourself to go live? Did you ever struggle with that kind of stuff?
Not too much. I remember I had it a little bit like initially, but then I started doing like a countdown timer, like before the stream starts, I have like a 10-minute countdown and then I press it and I have to go, I have 10 minutes, right? Like now I have to switch scenes when the time ends down to 0. But I've never really had any huge problems with that though. Like I've heard a bunch of streamers, having to deal with that sort of anxiety, I guess, where you're kind of worried about, just what you're going to say on the stream and how people are going to react, and you're not even entirely sure if you want to be playing StarCraft that day, or especially it's especially rough, I think, when you haven't slept well and you just have a lot of things to take care of in real life. And when I still have like 17 things I need to do after the stream, then it might be a little bit harder. But yeah, it's not like I'm sitting there all ready to go, and then I'm waiting 5 minutes or so until I press the go live button. But yeah, I can definitely imagine that being a thing, though.
You know, it's funny because I never really had it, but I often had it after I did like an offline event, like a WCS circuit event or whatever it was, maybe a WSG. And I know that I haven't played a single game of StarCraft in like 8 or 9 days. And I come home and I'm kind of tired, but I do want to stream immediately because I want to pick up to where I was before. But then I'm like, man, it's gonna suck. Like I'm tired. I haven't played in 8 9 days. I'm gonna play so freaking bad, and everyone's gonna harass. Like I would actually really struggle with the first day after an event. Be like, how do I do this again? Like what do I talk about? Like I mean, I don't want to be funny anyway because I know I'm gonna lose all my games. So I'm not in the mood to be funny, and if I'm not in the mood to be funny and I'm gonna lose all my games, why the fuck am I streaming? You know, like I would struggle with it a little bit. So I do relate to the emotion that people feel in general, but. Yeah, besides those often the first one was always hard for me, and after that I felt like it was easy. But Coco, you say you struggle for a couple minutes, but then you're still always good to go. And did it become easier over time?
I mean, it's definitely less scary now, but I'll still stare at the go live button for a couple minutes. But like, I always know I'm gonna go live. But sometimes you're just like, you sit down and you're like, do I have everything I need? Did I not do something? In the back of your mind, you're like, I feel like I probably should have sent an email. And then like, it's hard for me to click like go live because I'm like just thinking of a million things. But I'm definitely better at actually going live now. Now I know I'm gonna go live. I set a schedule and I'm gonna do it, even if I'm just 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late. But yeah.
How much do you stream at the moment, Coco? Like, let's say an average over the last few months. How many hours a month are we talking?
Well, last month, like, and again next month, I'm gonna be streaming probably 4 days a week for like 6 hours a day because I have a job the other day where I have to be there, so I can't stream that day. But probably about like maybe like 30 hours a week, hopefully. That's what I was doing the month before, and that was really nice.
That would be 120 hours. If you would go through your Twitch dashboard right now, do you think there's
Yeah.
ever been a month there where you had 120 hours?
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah?
can show you. Yeah, yeah, of course. I told you
I
last
mean,
month I did that. I did 128 hours in June.
damn, Coco, that's actually quite
Yeah.
a bit.
I was full time that whole month. I was full time that whole month, and it was really nice. I liked it a lot.
That was the most you ever did, though, right?
Probably, yeah. It's
Looking
the
back at
first
that
month that I
month,
have no other responsibilities except streaming.
how was it?
I liked it. Like obviously, we've I'm sure Loco you've experienced it as well. Some days you just start playing StarCraft and like 2 games in, you're like, okay, I'm gonna freaking scream at the top of my lungs if I have to play another game of StarCraft. So I definitely had days like that where I was just like, oh my god. But that's why it's nice to play other games as well, because then you can just switch to something. But like I loved the streaming aspect of it, but playing that much StarCraft definitely was a bit painful some days. But yeah, other than that, I love it.
Yeah,
Loco, how
fair enough.
much do you stream a month?
I stream about Monday through Saturday, usually 6 hours at a time. So I guess that makes like a. On my Twitch dashboard, it says 145 in the last month. I think that's pretty much the same for years now. Like right around 140, 145 hours a month. About
So you have a
36, I guess, a
very
week.
consistent 48
Yep.
hours
If
or
I go back a
140.
month every time, it's like basically around the same hours every time. Some of them I'm 154. There you go. That was in December apparently, but yeah, it's pretty much the same number every time.
That's honestly very impressive, especially considering the fact that you spend how many hours a month making YouTube videos?
Yeah, some days it goes really smoothly, and other days it doesn't go so well. So some days it takes me like an hour and a half, and it's done, and it's really quick. And other days it takes me like 4 hours to get it done. So it's yeah, streaming in a way is like a little bit more consistent in that sense, because YouTube can sometimes just, I don't know, I end up casting a bunch of games, and then the games are just bad, and I don't want to post them, or like I'm not happy with the commentary. I can imagine actually that's something you might run into as well if you ever make like dedicated YouTube videos for StarCraft cast and stuff, where you're just not happy with the game cast, or you're just not happy with the way that the game's played out, or you just don't really want to post it. That's where I end up struggling a little, where I end up casting way more than I need to just because I'm not happy with it in any way. But yeah, I've been trying to like scale it back a little bit because I think I was doing a bit too much. I'm still probably at like, if I were to guess, like 50, 55 hours a week in total, which is still quite a lot, but it's less than it used to be.
Yeah.
What I also want to explain before we continue our conversation is that a lot of people listen to like, oh, you streamed 145 hours a month, or he said he streamed 160 hours a month. It's like, well, I work 40 hours a week. That's 160 hours a month. It's not totally the same because obviously it's not just about when you go live to when you end live. There's often a little bit of prep, and afterwards there is stuff that streamers have to take care of as well, where you have to go over certain things, etc., etc. And on top of that, I think being live and chatting is slightly different than sitting behind a computer and just doing your work or something along this line. So don't focus too much on the numbers and be like, well, that's less than a full-time job, because there is a little more to it than just the amount of time that you've been live. But that actually leads into our next question, where I wanted to ask you, Lowko, how much is too much? Do you look at yourself and be like, I think I could do more? Or if anything, I'm like, maybe I'm actually slightly overdoing it?
I think about a year ago I was overdoing it. I noticed I was just grumpy, and I would go to bed and I couldn't fall asleep very well, and it would just, you run into like those basic issues that if you start looking them up, you find out very quickly that those are all symptoms of burnout, and you're like, okay, I should probably not be doing that. Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, it's not that extreme. Maybe it's like 90-10 or something. But yeah,
This is how I would describe the beauty of my carrier play. You know, they think it's that easy. But what they don't see is all the work that goes into it. But sorry,
making
Lowko,
cannons is a
continue.
lot of work, Kev. I agree, man. But I try and be a little bit better about it these days, because I was finding out that I was just doing a bit too much. But it's quite difficult though, because once you get into a certain rhythm, right, you also get to the point where a lot of people expect you to be there, and like they expect a certain amount of content, and I'm sure you found this as well, that there's always like a group of the same people in the chat that are waiting for you to go live, and you don't really want to, let them sit around for an hour doing absolutely nothing. It's easy to get carried away with it, especially if you work from home, like I think we all pretty much do, where you just can theoretically just keep working the whole time.
It's hard to do. Like, I actually struggle with this a lot. I know there are some days where I'm like, I really I need to relax today, because I notice it in myself. I know when I'm in a good mood, when I'm medium, and some days I just wake up and I'm like, I'm angry at something and I don't know what I'm angry about, but I'm still gonna stream today. It's like, you shouldn't stream today, man. Like, relax, go sit on the couch, watch some TV. But then even when I'm like, you know what, in my mind, it's like, tomorrow I'm taking the day off. In a weird way, I've got like, I need to get out of the house almost, because if I'm just at home, I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I may as well stream. Like, why am I not streaming? But that's like the complete opposite of what you're supposed to do when you give yourself a rest day, is have like an inner conversation about how you should still start streaming, or you should do this, or you should do that. So I do think that is kind of funny. I can really relate to that. Obviously, Coco, like, you've always kind of done it for fun because you were very busy with studying. And then last month you went full time. Could you see yourself, let's say there is a world where nothing in your life changes, or there is no job that looks very appealing to you, or the thesis doesn't get approved, or has it been approved already?
No, it hasn't.
Oh, okay. Well, that's possible. Could you see yourself stream full time for a year? Sorry, Coco, I'm not trying to scare you.
I definitely could. Like, I mean, like the month that I did it, I really loved it. So I think if it would be like sustainable for me, like Norway is a very expensive country. So
Yeah.
like if I could make enough money to like be okay with it, then I would love to do it, because I really do love streaming. But there's like a million factors that go into it. Like I can't see myself burning out on it, because I really enjoy doing it. I mean, everyone says that before they burn out as well. So like, obviously I don't know. But I love it. So I could see myself doing it for a year or two.
So do you plan on staying in Norway?
Yeah,
Okay.
I want to. I mean, I
Yeah, I've
currently
never
lost my
been, but
passport, so I
oh.
can't leave anyways.
That seems bad. Yeah. No,
It's
I've heard a
fine.
bunch of people talk about it, that Norway, like it's like a couple countries that are expensive to live, right? And Norway seems to be at like the tippity top of the list.
Yeah,
But yeah, okay. Fine.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're not really thinking about it, Coco, because when you moved to Norway, your plan was not to be a streamer or anything. But that
Yeah.
is actually a bit messed up, because there are, like, for instance, if you would live in Ukraine with the amount of money you would make through Twitch, you'd have a pretty balling life. But in Norway, you can barely afford a pizza. Like, I think I paid 42 euros once for a pizza in Norway. Like, I was like, how do they
How much is a
charge?
beer at the bar you worked at, Coco? Like a
I worked
regular
at like
beer.
a fancy bar. So if you got like the cheapest one, it was probably like 10 euros for a 0.4. And that's like the cheap kind of shitty beer. And like if you're getting the nice stuff, it's easily like 20 euros for like a 0.2, like a small one.
Oh, that's so crazy. Like
Yeah.
even for the Netherlands, which isn't a cheap country, that's yeah, ridiculous.
Hey, people
Yeah.
would riot the moment that we would start charging 10 euro for the cheapest
Yeah.
beer in the Netherlands. There would actually be full-on riots in every big city. Okay, the Dutch are pretty peaceful, but
Yep.
they complain. Yeah, like the conversations I hear, because my mom used to actually work in bars, and my dad used to be a pub owner when I was very young. But they're like, "Have you seen the price? It went up from 220 to 245 right now. 245 for a glass of beer." Like people would lose their shit if it was 10 euro. I kid you not.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that's
crazy.
crazy.
But yeah, that does make it like almost impossible though for you, Coco, right? Or I mean, unless you become Pokimane, but that seems so damn hard to, yeah, make a
Yeah.
comfortable living in Norway.
Yeah. I also like 1 day a week I work in like with my master's degree, which is nice, you know. Feel like I'm
Using
doing
your
the
degree, that's crazy.
I know, crazy. But figured maybe I should, just spend 2 years of my life getting it. So 1 day a week I do that, and that also helps. And you never know. Maybe Pokimane notices me and I explode and bring the StarCraft section to life. But who knows?
Yeah, damn it, I had something else I wanted to say just now. Norway, Norway, Pokimane, Coco. What is
Just
my
three
brain
things you think
missing?
about.
Uh, damn it.
10 euro
All right.
beers. I don't know, man.
Yeah. I don't know what. Oh yes, this is what I want to say. So a long time ago, I used to obviously be a Warcraft 3 player, and there was this dude called Creophilus who was from Norway, and he was really good, like incredibly freaking good. And he basically said at one point, "I'm gonna take 1 year, and I'm gonna become the best possible Warcraft 3 player I can be." Starting that year, he was just like really good. He was like a top 5 player in Europe. At the end of that year, he literally took second place, I think, at ESWC, which was our world, or he won ESWC and he took second place at BlizzCon. Basically, 2 of the 3 biggest tournaments of the year. And that was really good. We're like, "Wow, you're going to stay, right?" He's like, "No, because I can make the same amount of money working on my uncle's farm in Norway as I do by being a top Warcraft 3 player." And then the sickest thing ever, and that's my favorite esports memory of all time, is that he actually retired after his 1 year of pro gaming. He basically won a very big tournament, took second place at ESWC, was away for 3 months, then still won the Norwegian WCG qualifier, which was the most prestigious tournament of the year. Went to the World Cyber Games and actually won that too, which was our biggest tournament of the year, $25,000. We're like, "So sick, you're coming back, right?" He's like, "No, I'm retired." And he just... But yeah, he was... Basically, the TLDR is that he was doing really well for gaming standards, but he's like, "Guys, like, Norway is really expensive, and I can actually make this money elsewhere, and I can do other things with my time." So that was my
Kinda sucks,
story.
man.
Yeah, I know. But it does make for an amazing story, though.
It does.
So my next question for you guys then would be, what is the biggest challenge of streaming overall? And I'll start off with you, Coco. Is it when people come into the chat and they're like, Protoss girl, so sexy? Or is there something else that is a big challenge for you?
I mean, that definitely is one of the things that pisses me off the most. Actually, this isn't your question, but I'm just gonna say it quickly. The people are that make me the most annoyed are the ones that click on it, and I'm like 7 minutes into a game. I'm playing like not fantastic, but not terrible, and they're like, "Is this bronze?" And I'm like, "You don't really think it. You're just saying it to be a jerk. Like no one actually thinks it." And those people are the ones that like. They make you, what's it called? Like squeeze your toes when you're sitting there, like, "Yeah, it's bronze, buddy." And like that's my biggest challenge is just like dealing with people who are idiots in the chat, like, which you're always gonna get it. I feel like I get it kind of a lot as well because I'm like a female that plays like kind of a silly strat, so I'm just dealing with it a lot of dummies. But other than that, I don't know. I don't have that many challenges.
Lowko, is it the guys who tell you to make a few more Mudalisk against Void Rays that really get to you, or is there something else?
There's not really one thing that comes to mind, but yeah, that does bother me whenever like I play like a 30-minute long game against Skytles, which I've been losing for the last 18 minutes, and I've been trying my best. And then that one guy in the chat goes, "Well, Lowko, I've seen Raynor make Mutalisks against Brotals. Maybe you should try that." Yeah, it's like, That grinds my gears, but for the most part, at this point, like it's become a bit of a running joke as well, where a lot of the regulars make fun of me for losing against the same strat over and over and over again. But it's like, well, just play like Cyril, Lowko. Cyril would have won. It's like, okay, that's not helpful. That's not like. But now, in general, I don't. Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah, I actually like what you said there because that is something that I have dealt with too, where basically for the longest time, it's not that I don't think that Storm is good, but Storm wasn't really working for the skill set that I have and the opponents that I played against. And eventually, I got so annoyed about people asking me every single game I lost why I didn't get Storm that I turned it into an emoji and it just kind of became a running joke. And I think that's a really good way to deal with things that annoy you on Twitch. Where at one point I'm like, all right, let's just embrace it and roll with it because this is clearly not going to go away and I shouldn't beat myself up. And that's kind of what you're doing too, Coco. When, someone's like, what is this, bronze? Like, you can always be like, oh, no, actually, like, I'm Masters 3, so I'm doing pretty good. Or you can just be like, yeah, it's bronze, like, just take it in and be like, you know what, I'm done with this.
I love the Lambo emote. No, go ahead, sorry.
I just like to ask them to play me because it's always the people that are like, yeah, I was Diamond 7 years ago, so I could definitely beat you. And I'm like, okay, just come play that. And I've beaten like a ton of people doing that because they're just idiots. They're always dumb and bad. So it's just nice to be like, sure, let's play a game. And then you just smash them. Sorry, what were you saying about Lambo's emote?
No, I like the Lambo Twitch chat GM emote, like I don't know exactly what it looks like. Maybe someone in the chat has it right now, but I like that one. Every time I see it, I giggle. I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. Like it's basically the Twitch logo with the Grandmaster League logo in the background. Fantastic.
That is a good emote. I can let you know though, Coco, that it will probably never go away. It's just a StarCraft thing. Maybe it's a Dota thing as well. Even yesterday, I had a bad day. Like, these things happen as a streamer. Sometimes you just have a bad day. I played like an absolute moron, made a lot of mistakes, and then you just get a good old, what league is this? Question mark. Like,
and it's like, you've been at the same league forever.
Yeah, I have been in the same league for the last 10 years. And even though there were times, honestly, where I traveled a lot. There was 1 year where I think I was on the road for over 200 days a year. So that's 200 days that I couldn't play. And it was actually kind of hard for me to maintain a level that I was proud of and that I was happy with. Because online, like, I'm not a player who travels to an event and then can play at the event. Like, if I leave my house and I'm not home for 3 weeks, I'm not playing a single game. And then, like, I always did my best. I'm like, all right, I still kind of got it. I'm not totally where I want to be, but this is pretty good. And then you have 3 bad games in a row. You make a little move command mistake, or you F2 your army when you shouldn't have it. You get what league is this? I'm like, it's fucking Platinum 3, okay? Leave me alone.
Wait,
what do you want from me?
You guys are both GM, I think, so you can answer this. How annoying is it in like the first couple weeks when the league opens and no one is GM, and there's probably like 50 people a day like, you're not GM anymore? What happened? Why aren't you in GM? Because it's just not open yet, and they're just
I'm GM on the NA server, okay? I gotta clarify this. There's like a little asterisk next to my GM icon. Dude, that's the thing that bothers me a little bit as well. I've been playing NA server for the last few seasons. Just because it's been fun to actually see the rank go up and down in a meaningful league. But every single time there's someone in the chat going like, "Oh, Lowko is GM. This must be NA server." And it's like, yeah, it's true. You're right. It is.
How do you? Because I actually used to enjoy playing some NA ladder too, not necessarily for the ranking or anything, but just to see some different faces. But a long time ago, they changed something. This happened like 3.5, 4 years ago, where if I would match with Pig, they would actually force me to play on the Australian server. Do you have that too, or?
Yeah, so I found out. I didn't know that this was a thing. You can like ban certain servers, so you can basically make it so you're not playing on those servers, which helps a lot. Like that's what made it fun. Because playing on the Australian or the Singaporean server is just a disaster.
Yeah, no, that's what stopped me, because I actually always enjoyed it, and I wouldn't mind playing on like US Central, or maybe like if I play against an Australian, even US West. Sure, it's laggy, but that's fair. But when you start having to play on the Singaporean server, like I play against Zerg, and I've got like 310 ping, and I'm like,
like sure, Zerg versus Zerg at 350 ping is not fun. Like it's just you literally send your Zerglings back, and they still run into the bailing anyway. You're like, okay, well this is
No, but to answer your question, Coco, that is. I honestly started kind of embracing that question too, where I'm just like, yep, I lost it, eventually you just give up, I waved the white flag and I'm like, I'm done answering the same question in a serious manner. I don't know if you guys are really bothered by this, but I feel like this has to be a universal StarCraft to streamer thing. If you lose a game that you're not supposed to lose, the guy's like 400 MR below, and then the moment the
He
game
comes in
ends,
the chat.
minus. No, no, no. It's not about the
Oh,
opponents. It's
oh,
about
okay.
the viewers. Like, ooh, minus 42. Yikes. Minus 45. Oof.
Like I fucking noticed, mate.
God. There's
Yep.
nothing more tilting than that. You see it yourself, and then some guy in the chat is like, "That one hurts, right?" And you're like, "Yeah, it does. Thanks for saying it."
It hurts me a lot more than for you guys. Trust me.
Like, ooh,
God.
wow, minus 51. That's a lot. I'm like, I know, buddy. I know. Anyway.
Actually, whenever like the same question gets asked a million times over, right, and you at some point decide to ignore it, every once in a while I have someone in the chat that goes, "Wow, this streamer only ever talks about or talks to the subscribers when they ask a question, just because they've asked a question I've just entered a dozen times already." That bothers me a little bit as well. But yeah.
Especially when you know that it's not the case at all, when you're trying to make an effort in
Yeah,
being nice
yeah,
to
exactly. I
everyone.
really, yeah, it's frustrating.
All right. Well, this question is for both of you because it doesn't truly apply to me. What is the main difference for you guys when you're playing another game than StarCraft 2? So StarCraft 2 versus literally any other game you guys might stream.
What
In
do you mean?
general, in general, I find StarCraft 2 to like, it feels a lot more like work in a way, you know? Like if you want to play StarCraft, you got to actually put in effort. You can't really like, half-ass it very well because you're definitely going to lose if you don't pay 100% attention. But with other games, I can kind of like relax a little bit and sit back and just play some. And I think that helps, especially if it's like a day, like I feel like with StarCraft, you kind of have to have a perfect day in a way. Like you have to have slept well, you need to have a decent breakfast and drink enough water, and because that's the day I play good games. And if I haven't slept well or I had a couple drinks too many the night before, like my games are just gonna be a disaster. So in general, I think with other games it's just a little bit more relaxing and you can just chill a little bit better. So yeah, that's one of the main reasons why I really like playing games in general, right? But that's one of the reasons why I started streaming them a lot as well. It's fun.
Would you agree
Yeah,
with
I
that,
guess I
Coco?
agree with that. Yeah, like I think StarCraft is a lot more taxing on your brain. Like you have to focus a lot harder versus like I don't know if Lowko if you're playing like difficult games like that take a lot of brain power. But when I'm playing stuff, I'm playing like silly games like Portal or Little Nightmares, just like
Oh, you stream
platformers.
Portal? That's dangerous.
Yeah, I'm
I
actually like really addicted to Portal. I love Portal.
I've gotten stuck on really basic puzzles, and I feel like a total
Yeah,
idiot.
that's really embarrassing when the chat is
Yeah,
like, "How does she not see it?" And I'm like,
that's literally every
painfully.
game I play. But no,
Yeah,
I do play
but
difficult games as well. But like more like Dark Souls and stuff. It's not like mentally as taxing as with StarCraft. Like StarCraft
yeah.
is pretty mentally draining, I guess. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I guess with you, Rotti, you just mostly play really strategy games, and that's really your thing. You don't really enjoy other games that much.
Well, I enjoyed Dota for a while, but I got very addicted to Dota. So I'm actually kind of afraid that, like, I had this one period where I lived in Rancho Cucamonga, and Red Bull asked me to go to this pickup land in Seattle. And the idea of this land was really cool. To basically explain it, there were exactly 100 competitors, and you would just get 5 or 4 random teammates, and then everyone that would win their match, you'd be now 1-0. So then in the second round, you would all get teammates that are 1-0, and then it would continue, right? And eventually the pool gets smaller and smaller. But if you're 1-2, then you all get a team with people that are 1-2, so the games would stay somewhat competitive. And I was like, this sounds really fun, and I'm a competitor, so I started playing. And I don't even know what happened, man. I feel like I blinked twice, and I got like 170 Dota games in like 2 weeks' time. It was outrageous, and I was just playing Dota from the moment I woke up till I went to bed at like 4 a.m., and I'm like, probably need to play some StarCraft again. So that's why I don't really do it. And I love other games. Like I feel like I'm not a good streamer if I don't know what I'm talking about. And when I'm playing like a random game, I will either be too focused on the game or too focused on trying to be a good streamer that I'm just not enjoying myself, you know?
Yeah, I guess you're just a
I-
competitor, right? Like you just like competitive games is where it's at. Like I'm
It's not
currently, for
just
example, I'm playing Mass Effect. I don't really see you playing Mass Effect. Like it's just a story-driven game. It's not complex as far as like the game mechanics go. You don't have to be very smart for it. You just kind of play. I think you'd enjoy it, but you'd probably get bored after a few hours.
But I would probably enjoy it a lot more playing it off stream rather than on stream.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Because like maybe in a weird way, I like even though it's StarCraft 2, you know, I know I can just sit down, we can talk about StarCraft things, we can talk about whatever I like, and then I can play some StarCraft because I kind of know what I'm doing. Maybe not to perfection, but at least I kind of know what I'm doing. Well, if I'm playing Mass Effect, I feel like I will not get any rest in my head because I'm too worried about either enjoying the game or enjoying the stream and trying to combine the two, and then it just doesn't work. So if I would play a game like that, I'd probably just play it off stream by myself in the dark.
Yeah, okay, fair. Yeah.
In the dark? It has
Yeah,
to be
in the-
dark.
It
No
has to be
lights.
dark, Coco. Lights off. Maybe the carrier gets some light, but that's it.
That's fair though. Yeah.
What about you, Coco?
What was the question?
What is the main difference for you whenever you stream a different game compared to StarCraft 2?
I think I'm more like when I'm playing StarCraft, I pretty much don't listen to the chat with anything. Like if someone gives me advice, I almost want to do the opposite. But when it's other games, I'm like, okay, there's probably people who have played this and know the answers. So then I listen to the chat. And I feel like I'm a bit more chill when I'm playing other games because I'm never like annoyed when I'm playing like another game because I'm just playing for fun. But in StarCraft, I can get really like annoyed at myself or others. But yeah, I think I'm a bit more chill playing other games. Also, like I do a lot of random stuff like baking and doing stuff like painting and stuff like that. And those streams, I'm like really chill because nothing really matters. You're just talking to chat, so it's like who cares?
I love how basically Loco said StarCraft 2 feels more like work than other games. I also explained that in a way, like obviously it's for me it would be too stressful, but the TLDR is that StarCraft does always feel competitive and stressful, but that's what kind of like. Coco also says that it's stressful, yet it's all our main game and we all enjoy it. What's so magical about StarCraft then, Loco?
I don't know, man. It's just a good game. It's just it's nice and clean, you know. There's not really a whole lot of. Every game starts off the same, and I mean, in team games, okay. So in team games, I find myself doing the thing as well that every team game player falls into, where I stop taking responsibility for my actions and I just start blaming the teammates instead. I'm like, well, if only the jungler actually tried a little bit harder this game would have been perfect. But with StarCraft, I mean, you can blame balance, you can blame, you know, the maps or something. You can blame loads of things. But in the end, the reason why you lose is because, you know, you didn't play good enough, right? Like, if any of my games, Raynar would have played them, he would have absolutely trashed the opponent and it wouldn't have even been close, right?
Besides that one game on Death Aura, you played perfect in that one.
Which one was that?
Arstem, is it Imba or do I suck?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, that's true, actually. That one was clearly broken. No, but, you know, like in StarCraft, I don't know. There's something nice about starting off every game with just, you know, the exact same setup. And, yeah, you got to make the best of it for the next, like, 5 to 15 minutes or so. It's fun.
Coco, full agree.
Yeah. I think team games are also fun because even if you don't say it, you just internally blame your teammates no matter what. Even if they're like 2,000 MMR higher than you in 1v1s, I'm just like, yeah, he threw that one. You know, even when it's 100% always my fault. So it's nice to have that scapegoat in the back of your mind.
Yeah, it does make it a little bit easy to deal with.
Yeah.
I still believe that's one of the reasons why like MOBAs are more popular than StarCraft
absolutely.
in general. Like just being
100%.
able, just like any team game, you can always shift responsibility to literally anything but yourself.
Yeah.
It's nice.
And like
It's
you
really
can
nice.
you can take part of the blame, but not the entire, and that feels
Yeah.
good too. It's like, yeah, maybe I wasn't good, but you weren't exactly good either, mate. So it's like we suck together, and that's okay. But in StarCraft 2, it's like it's all you. Like, like yesterday, I had a day where I'm like, oh, man, I'm so angry at myself, and then I know that I'm playing bad, and now I'm getting more angry because I'm angry. I'm already angry because I'm angry, and now I'm playing even worse than I was playing before. And it's like, man, those days are tough, and then obviously it's a little bit easier to just play, you know, just claim mid, and then you lose mid, and then you blame the guy that didn't put out any wards in the center. Who's like, yeah, I got ganked by the guy from your lane. It's your fault. You know, that's
Fucking support again.
Yeah.
all right. Well, it is fun to hear about the stories of different games. When's the next baking stream, Coco?
Maybe soon. I really like doing the baking streams. People always ask for them, so maybe soon. I just always mess it up. I think maybe once ever I've made something that was edible. Every other time, and like I'm a pretty good baker. It's something about being on stream. It just like I always mess it up, but it's okay. I get to eat weird, gross foods, so that's really fun.
The pressure
Sounds like
gets
a lot
to
of
you.
fun. I've never done that.
Yeah, it really gets to me. I don't know what it is. Something just like snaps in my brain, and I forget how to count, and I always mess it up.
I think you do a great cooking stream, Lowko, together with the lady. Get a nice little setup going in the kitchen, in that marvelous
Yeah, it'd be
mansion of
fun.
yours.
No, it's not that big, man.
That giant Dutch mansion. We want to see it.
You know,
You can
Coco,
come
if you
over, it's
ever
fine,
fly
but-
to Amsterdam airport, like, you know, like you can actually see it from you peek outside of the window, and if you see like a really big house, you're like, is that where the
Yeah.
king lives? No, 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 that's where
Yeah.
Lowko lives.
I remember that palace, and it had the moat around it. And I was like, I wonder who lives there, but I guess it was Lowko.
Yeah, that's his holiday house, actually.
No.
That's not.
Okay.
No,
That
I think it
sounds
would
like
be fun,
fun.
Lowko. Would you ever consider it a cooking stream?
So I've never really done like non-gaming streams until like last week when I built this new computer on stream, and that was actually really fun. Like I actually really enjoyed doing it, and I found that like, so a couple years ago nobody would watch anything but StarCraft on my channel, and these days I seem to get like similar amount of views doing literally whatever.
Which is impressive, by the way.
It's
That's
it's
the
been a
thing.
lot of fun, man. Like I've been enjoying that a lot because it's just you know, it's a little bit less pressure as well, you know, like just knowing that there's always other games out there in StarCraft and I'm not necessarily, you know, bound to it or like stuck to it. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing like a different type of stream that had nothing to do with gaming. So yeah.
This was not necessarily my talking point, but now that you bring it on, this is very interesting to talk about. I feel like you're one of the very, very few StarCraft 2 streamers that has successfully done that without even really trying to do that. Because I feel like you have never been like, I'm trying to branch out to different games. No, you just streamed whatever you wanted to stream. And now, indeed, your viewership is actually very good. Whatever game you play all sorts of different games. And I feel like it's indeed pretty much always there. What is the key to that success, you think? And what kind of advice would you give to other people that have really been stuck on just StarCraft and try to carry or bring their audience at least into a different game with them?
So I was running into the problem where I was streaming like 6 hours at a time, and I think 6 hours is a pretty good time for a stream duration. But 6 hours of StarCraft is just too much. Like I can play decent for like 3 hours, and then hour 4 gets worse, and then hour 5 and 6 are terrible. So I would like go up the first couple hours, and then it would steadily decline again, and I end up where I began. As far as like MMR goes. So I started playing other games as well, where I would do like half StarCraft 2 and then half other games, and I still really enjoy doing that just because it's more, I don't know, I just enjoy it better. So I think if you want to like, if you're a StarCraft streamer and you want to branch out into other games, I think doing like half and half type of streams is really fun. But I've never like, I know there's a lot of streamers that like from one day to the next, they just decide, okay, I'm never going to play this game ever again, right? And that's never gone through my mind. I remember like when Overwatch came out and like a bunch of StarCraft streamers switched to Overwatch and they never touched StarCraft again. I really love StarCraft. I enjoy playing it a lot, but some days it's just really hard, right? It just doesn't do it for me. So yeah, streaming something else at that point and just still being live in the same time slot. I think that really, yeah, just consistency, I guess, is good.
What do you make of it, Coco?
Yeah, I think it's first of all, I think it's really impressive because like StarCraft has some very hardcore viewers who will literally never watch anything except StarCraft. Like you could be their favorite streamer, they could watch you every day for 2 years, and if you stream something else, they're like, yeah, no, and just instantly close it. So
And
it's
they'll
really
let you know
impressive.
too, by the way.
Yeah. They'll say you're never playing StarCraft again, as it's like your one day you haven't played it in 2 years. But so it's really impressive that you've done that. I also think like I agree with Rotti. It is difficult to make the switch, but I think for your own like mental health, I think if you want to stream, you should just stream what you want. Because if you're not doing it all the time, then it's like, who cares? But like you'll also like develop a core audience. In my opinion, like I have like a core group of people who will watch me like do anything. Like I could
I'm
knit,
part of
and they
that,
would
by
just
the
be
way.
like, yeah.
Roddy's
I
there
could
at
like
the
knit.
beginning.
But yeah. So I think you'll also develop it like the longer you stream. So that's something too.
Yeah, there's a viewer of mine that made did Lowko quit SC2.com, which is a fantastic website that I link whenever someone asks now. So it literally just says no on the middle of the screen. Get Lowko, quit SC2.com. It's great.
But
It works like a
just
charm.
yeah, that goes back to what we were talking about before. Though,
Yeah.
there are certain things that just start annoying you. At one point, it's like, all right, we're gonna turn this into a meme because otherwise, it's gonna drive me insane. And that's indeed one more way to deal with that. No, but you've done a really good job with that. It's fun to see because I know a lot of other people have tried, and they actually start going like really sad downward spirals where it's not even just about viewership or anything. It's just about they can't find happiness anymore because then they feel like they are forced to stream StarCraft, and if they don't, then nothing else works.
Yeah.
But that's obviously you don't want to start a StarCraft 2 stream because you feel like you're forced to stream it, right? Because that almost never goes well anyway.
Yeah, so I think a lot of that comes down as well to like looking at the viewer count and the subscriber count in particular. So I guess I've had like the luxury of also having the YouTube channel, right? It's not like I'm only financially dependent on the Twitch stream, and I can imagine if like you're forced to play StarCraft to make ends meet, right? That's not really a good situation to be in the first place if you have to like do one thing and you
Which
can't
also,
even really deviate very much.
Yeah. Before I want to interrupt you, like it obviously sounds insane to some people at home, but like, what do you mean you have to play StarCraft 2 to make a living? How is that a bad
Right.
thing? That's my dream job. But
Yeah.
it everything changes, guys. Like once you do it for 5, 6, 7, 8 years in a row, there are moments where the mental burnouts are real, and no matter how amazing it may seem on paper to just play StarCraft 2 for a living, it can really put people in just a bad place eventually. If you're not feeling it, your heart is not in it, but you feel like you're forced to because it's the only thing that allows you to make a living. It can get weird. And I honestly think it's hard to explain this to people that have never streamed or make a living like this, right? Because like, so you're telling me that you're struggling to play video games for a living. It sounds pretty outrageous to people who are not part of the industry and haven't lived the life, but it is a real thing, no matter how silly it may sound.
Anyone that says that, I recommend they play like 12 PvPs in a row. And then they will just never ever question it again.
I know. We'll make it 280 PvPs, and then with a couple of people coming in the chat, like, yikes, minus 37, minus 44. Oh.
You already had a bit of a headache. You already slept like 5 hours. You're like, oh, okay, fine, I'm doing this. Yeah.
And you lose to Strange unranked. It's like Strange is unranked, which is 5k MMR when he's like a 6k player. And then they're like, oof, that's a big one when you lose.
Does it ever happen to you? I guess you don't play too much in Europe, because you could actually get him too, Lowko. You could play against Strange when he's playing under his 5-6 barcode. He leaves every other match. He leaves every PvP and he gets a lot of them.
Yeah, exactly. Like people that just want to play PvTs or PvZs, I guess. So they just purposely leave every. Yeah, those people are like 500 MMR below where they actually should be, right? Yeah.
Like if people do that for 100 or 200 MMR, it's like whatever. But Strange, I think, without exaggerating, is probably a 6,400 MMR player if he does his best. He's playing in DreamHack. He's competitive in DreamHack. If you play against Strange and he's 5.6, we're almost talking. Yeah, we're almost talking 1,000 MMR. That's brutal, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was fun, guys. Fun little chat and fun to hear from the experiences outside of StarCraft 2, of course. Let's make it a bit easier then. Lowko, looking back at these 5-6 years on Twitch that you've had so far, what was your absolute favorite moment?
Ooh, absolute favorite moment. I guess when I realized I could do the whole thing full time, you know, like I was talking about it earlier, where I decided to take like a year off, and then the year went by, and I was thinking about going back to school, and it took me about half a second to decide not to. That was kind of nice. Like it was fun to give that a try. It's not like one specific moment that really pops into my head right away, but when I realized I could, like, you know, do what I enjoy doing every day, like that's been fun.
Coco, what has been your favorite moment?
I think I have two. One was just getting partnered, because it was like such a feeling of achievement, especially when I wasn't streaming that much at the time, and I had only been streaming for a couple months, so I just felt like really, really lucky, and it kind of like made me feel like maybe I can do this or keep doing this. And the second one was when I was playing 2v2s with my little sister, and she built her gateway in her mineral line, and I just couldn't stop laughing for like 10 minutes straight.
You have to try and do that. Like, that's not even easy. You have to, like, pool the workers and everything.
It's difficult to fit the freaking gateway there. And I just looked over at her base, and she's like, does this look good? I was like, I just died. It was so good. It's so good. I still laugh about it all the time.
What about when you got Master League for the first time?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, also, I guess maybe I should include that. Getting Masters was like a dream of mine. I got it in 1 year of playing, so I was really, really, really happy. I got it at like 4 a.m. on a Tuesday night with no mic. I was just streaming with just cam and no mic and grinding, and I got it, so it was pretty amazing.
Other than the beautiful moment, Lowko, when you realized you could do this full time, is there anything else that stands out for you? Like when you won an amazing game or just had a great day overall because something marvelous happened? Any positive, fun,
I
uplifting
remember,
stories?
like, at some point I ended up getting promoted to GM for the first time, and that was fun. That was on the EU server, for what it's worth, but it's a long time ago. But I got kicked out again within like 24 hours. But yeah, that was a special moment. That's been my EU experience in general, man. Like 72 hours is where I top out. Do you have anything in particular that you think of, Rotti?
No, maybe not really. I was kind of thinking of it, but there's obviously that indeed first time GM on stream. Because I was actually, this is a fun little side story, but before Grandmaster League was out, Blizzard would actually release a news post on the Blizzard StarCraft 2 website where they would list the 200 highest ranked accounts. And I was always in that. But then right the period where they started to introduce the Grandmaster League, I actually, I was traveling a lot that time. We had a couple of events, and I was always right on the edge when it came to Europe. It was so annoying because I would I knew I was right there, but it was a bit invisible. They wouldn't tell you exactly where you were at. They didn't show the MMR, but I knew I was really, really, really close because I was evenly matched with people that were. I was so annoying. I was like, damn it, when is this finally happening? So when it did happen the first time, and that was obviously a bit later because that's when I moved to America, and only in America I started streaming. But the US was, the NA server in 2011, pretty competitive, guys. So when I did get it after playing a little while on stream, that was really cool. Other than that, I don't know. This has been a couple of great days. I don't know. Maybe the first time that Coco joined us on the Monday evening has to be an absolute highlight from Coco commentary. No, I don't know. I have to come back to you with a good answer on another day. I don't know. There's nothing that really stands out.
Yeah, fair.
All right, maybe something that's somewhat similar, but maybe still slightly different. Cobra put this one in. What do you think has been the largest accomplishment when it comes to StarCraft 2 streaming or streaming in general, Lowko?
Ooh. Largest accomplishment from streaming in StarCraft?
Yeah, or maybe a peak day of viewers or getting a certain consistency that you were aiming for, or yeah, I don't know.
I remember some latter days where I didn't lose a single game. Those feel really good. Where you go 17-0 or whatever. You're like, okay, now you're on top of the world, and you don't actually want to keep playing anymore because you're scared you're gonna ruin it. I had that a few weeks ago where we went for very high, and I ended up losing one really stupid game, and just got supply blocked at the classic 36 out of 36. You're like, okay, that was.
Does it scare you when let's say you have a day, right? It's your Tuesday, you stream for 6 hours, and you win 90% of your games. When you wake up on Wednesday morning, do you feel a little more anxious where you're like, it's going to be a tough day because I know I'm going to lose a lot?
Nah, that doesn't really bother me too much. I'm mostly thinking, I want to get better in the long term, that's kind of the way I usually view it, where I'm also pretty happy where I'm at right now. I'm not really necessarily aiming to get to a certain MMR. I mean, it'd be nice if I would go up, but the main goal, I guess, that I have these days is to try and hopefully have fun to watch streams and try to make good YouTube content while still being decently good at the game. The priority has kind of shifted, I guess, over the years, where when I first started streaming, I just wanted to be as good as I possibly could be, and nowadays I'm content if I'm heading, right around, I think right now I'm at 4 or 5.2 or so. If I'm around 5K, it's fine.
But don't you think it's a bit easier to have a goal to play for, or what motivates you to go live and play StarCraft? Is it just to have fun, or do you like to work towards a certain goal?
No, I was working towards 50% win rate against Protoss. That was a lot of fun. That took a while. And actually, I've noticed this every single time. I have one weakest matchup. I work on it. I watch a lot of replays, and then I get better at it. And then it turns out to be the best matchup. Because right now I'm sitting at I think 70-something% against Protoss, just playing the same builds over and over and over again. So that's been fun. But yeah, usually it's more matchup specific and not so much rank or MMR based, I guess. Right now my ZVZ is kind of bad. I kind of want to, I'd like to get better in ZVZ. That'd be fun.
All right, so you set little mini goals for yourself.
Yeah.
Coco, If you look back at your 2 years and a bit of streaming so far, what do you think has been the largest accomplishment other than getting partnered?
Largest accomplishment from streaming. I think, like, I have those mental milestones for every 1,000 followers I get as well. So I'm, like, every time when I hit 5,000, I was like super super happy. I think I had a goal for like 8,000 before 2 years and stuff like that, and I got it like the day before or something like that. So I have a lot of those like really small milestones that make me really happy.
Hmm.
But yeah, a lot of it. I feel pretty happy with the 2 years I've had. I've had a pretty good 2 years.
Nice.
Well, that leads us me into the next question. What is the goal for the future? Coco, I'll let you go first.
The goal for the future in terms of streaming and
Mm-hmm.
StarCraft, or
Yeah, anything?
um, I guess at least for a couple of years, my goal is to make, or like at least a year, to just like stream full time. And yeah, I don't know, like I don't know. I just wanna, I don't know. I just want to be happy, I guess. Improve in
Oh,
StarCraft, improve my stream, and be happy, and then I'm pretty happy.
the goal is to be happy. I love it. Can you top
Good
that,
goal.
Loco? Can you
No,
top
that's
that?
perfect, man.
Yeah.
I had something similar too, where I always wanted to, when I was a kid, I always thought it was kind of silly that a lot of people really hated the job they were in. I was like, I don't want to have a job where I wake up in the morning and I like don't want to go there. Like that seems like if I'm going to spend my entire life, going every day being miserable, that seems like something I don't want to do. So my main goal was always just to do something that I would enjoy doing. And hopefully I could do that, for a living. That would be fun. So that's always been the main goal, I guess, overall, where I can wake up in the morning and, obviously you have days where you don't really feel like it because that's, being human, I guess. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's always been the main goal. So I'm always trying to have fun and just have a good time. Um, so as far as like the future goes, I hope I can do StarCraft for a lot longer than, what I've been doing already. I mean, StarCraft's still my favorite game. I've tried loads of them over the years, but StarCraft, I keep coming back. Yeah, it's good.
What do you think Loco is doing 3 years from now?
Probably the same, dude.
Coco, what is Coco up to 3 years from now?
Ugh, that's so hard. I don't know. Uh, Hopefully still playing StarCraft, but I'm sure I would also like to, if I could find a way to like mix esports with my degree, that would be really nice. Probably make my parents happy to know that I'm using the degrees that they've
What
helped
is your
me apply
degree in?
for. So my bachelor's is in political science and my master's is in globalization and sustainable development. So it's like the politics of sustainable development kind of. So if I could combine all of that stuff and make
Oof.
something cool, that would be nice, but it's a bit hard to combine. But yeah, I don't know where I'll be in 3 years. 27.
My age, Coco. The world could be
Your
yours.
age. Yeah. Where will you be in 3 years, Roddy?
Still here, mate. Still here, going live with the European Pro Tour Weekly. That's no longer sponsored by
Yes.
Shopify and Coinbase, but Gabe's still winning it, and I'm
Yes,
still
of
having a
course.
ball. So no, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully by then we do have another beautiful RTS that we can enjoy. Well, guys, it's almost been 2 hours, and that's kind of what I wanted to have. But we do have a little Q&A, so we're gonna cover a couple of questions quickly. Big shout out to all the Patreon supporters. Of course, without you guys, it wouldn't be possible for Cobra, Alexander, and myself to make this show happen. If you are a Patreon supporter, you can find the Patreon, of course, on my channel. There is a button below or at thepylonshow.com. You can submit some questions in the Pylon Show Discord. And our first question, I believe, is by LordPhiliam. Would you be keen to see maps from previous seasons of Legacy of the Void return? Okay, there's a couple of questions, so we'll do this one first. Lowko, you want to see some old maps return?
Some of them might be fun for a little bit. I just wonder if they would get old fast because we've already, if you're gonna bring back,
Lost and found.
yeah, like exactly. Some of them were good and some of them weren't so great, right? So like, if some of the good ones come back for a season and they actually change again after like 3 months, that would be fun. At this point, I'll take any map changes, man.
Same. Coco,
Yeah.
you want to see some old maps return?
If by old maps you mean 2 years ago, then heck yeah. Give me back Turbo Cruise. It was the best Cannon Rush map of all time. I'm dreaming of it every night, so I would be pretty happy if that came back.
How is that your main requirement for a map that you can cannon rush on it well?
I need to get in and out of PvP as fast as possible, win or lose. Give me a
As
place
long as
to
there's a
cannon
main
launch.
and a natural, I'll be fine.
As long as I can build a forge on it, I'm super happy.
Abyssal Reef would be good. Yeah, I feel like Abyssal Reef could be a good one. That'd be fun.
Next part of the question of LordPhiliam. Rotti and Coco, you both have or had experience as expats. Any tips or a mindset for living abroad? I always thought, actually, a little while ago, Coco, you dream of cannon rushes. I was laying in bed late at night, and I'm like, why do people use the word expat? Why can't I just say that I'm living abroad? Why can't I just be an immigrant? But I guess it's a really fancy way to say, like, oh, I'm not just an immigrant, I'm expat, I'm cool, okay. So, Coco, do you have any tips for mindset living abroad?
I think learning the language, 100%. You have to have an open mind to learning the language of the country you live in, because you kind of look like a jerk if you've been living there for like 5 years and you speak like 3 words. I'm really sorry if there's someone out there that doesn't speak a language and they live in a different country. Like, you don't have to learn it, but if you're going to live in a country, I think you should like at least learn the basics of it. And I feel like that helps you make so many friends and like people. Like, it just makes life easier for you if you can speak a little bit of the language you live in. And that's, for me, that was the most important.
The only tip I can give is just don't be too obnoxious. I have realized that whenever you're
Very true.
rather quiet in an environment that's maybe not your own, it's still very easy to get liked and get along, and then you start feeling comfortable anyway. But if you always want to be the loudest person in the group or in a certain setting, then you will start turning people off, and that's where things get uncomfortable. But I think if you just kind of observe, be an observer, basically. Go to your robotics facility, build an observer, you observe for a little while, you see how people do it, and then you just kind of adjust to what you feel like people would like to see. And you can still be yourself, just don't be obnoxious. I think that will go a long way. And make sure to enjoy it, most of all, because if you're living in a foreign country, make sure to make the best of it. Playing StarCraft is fun, but going outside and exploring some of the things that you maybe didn't have the chance to explore when you were younger, because you didn't live there, that's very valuable too, I think. And then last but not least, I didn't forget you, Lowko. Mass Effect, top romance, and why is it Tali?
Sure, Tali. I'll go with Tali. Yeah. Why is it Tali? I don't know. I've only romanced Tali in Mass Effect 2. So I guess that's where we go with, yeah.
All right. I have no idea what any of that means, but I'll trust
I
you.
like how confused you're looking. You're out of here like, what? Romancing? Is this even a family-friendly question? Like, how does...
All right. Next up, we have a question of Polly. Thank you, Polly, for supporting the TWiSC over at Patreon. I have asked this question over a year ago or so, and now I want to know. What were the weirdest or uncomfortable or annoying things someone asked you in chat while streaming? Question mark. If I recall correctly, Artosa said someone wanted to see his feet. I have the feeling that you can top that, Lowko.
Oof. The weirdest / most uncomfortable thing someone's asked in the chat. All right, let me think about it for a second. Maybe something comes to mind in a minute.
All right, Courtney, other than Proto streamer, so sexy. Or Proto's girl, what is it?
I could probably give you one from every single stream. Like, I get something weird every single stream. But let me just read you one of my unbanned requests right now, Rotti. You're a part of it. You're a part of it. Yeah, so someone said, he was banned a little while ago, and he said, at Coconut Games, I spent 20 subs on you if you in Rotterdam do a live stream where he drinks your used bathwater. Deal? Everybody knows he wants this to happen. And
For $100, Rotti? Really?
Okay, so he did an unban request about a couple days ago and said, the offer is still vibing if you're interested. If you win, I will marry you. So that was a good one. That was a good unban request I just got.
Fuck?
Yes.
I feel like women get it way worse than. Like, I've looked at a couple of the unbanned requests, and some of them have been a little strange, but nothing close to this.
Imagine there is someone on this planet thinking that I really want to drink someone else their bathwater.
Yeah, they lumped Rotti into it. Poor Rotti. This guy's living out his wildest fantasies and pretending to be Rotti.
Look at Rotti. He really wants that because he's super nice to Coco. It's like, yeah, that totally means I want to drink the bathwater, mate. You're right. Make sure to put some soap in it as well, Coco. This sounds amazing.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's a great deal. 20 subs. I mean, come on.
Well, for you, Coco, I might consider it, but for anyone else, that's a big no.
What a weird situation. How does this even, like, why is this something they would send over? It's like, it's just projecting, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Like I get something probably that stupid. I'd say once a week. I'm just someone that comes in and that's like
Once
they've
a
never
week?
Yeah,
they've
Coco
never
deals with
interacted with a
very
yeah.
weird. Oh, people have very weird openers in Coco's chat, and sometimes they're not even like they're clearly not the worst people. Or don't even mean to troll. They just don't realize that what they say is incredibly weird. And some of them, I feel like they come around real well, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that was weird." And then some people obviously just continue being weird. But
Yeah.
in Coco's chat, you see some stuff, Loco. You don't want to know the half of it.
You don't
Oh,
want
no.
to go in there.
Like
That's
you
Well, I
not
probably
can't
don't
come
even
up with
know this
anything,
meme
guys.
that
Yeah.
I brought up twice now already, but this happened. I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. There's just some dude, and he's not even like the craziest guy out there. He's not super weird. He comes into the chat, and the first line in Coco's chat is like, Protoss girl, so sexy. And I sit there, and I'm like, I look at the chat, and I'm like, what? And I look at Coco, and Coco's like, that's disgusting. Who teaches you to talk like that? And I thought it was actually kind of funny, so now we turned it into a bit of a meme. But like, imagine like you're like, Courtney is streaming Coconut Games. My first line in the chat. A Protoss girl, so sexy.
I'm like
That's
a
a
pretty
bit strange.
wholesome person. I wear like big sweaters and I'm just playing and I have like I don't show any skin and I'm not ever weird to chat. I'm very normal. And some guys like, oh, Protoss is hot. It's like why? What is this? Come on.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to top that, Rotti. I've got nothing, man. Like,
I mean, I don't really. If I think long enough, then I'm sure that I can come up with some really
yeah.
weird stuff. But like, obviously, over the years, when you stream a lot, like you have a whole lot of great experiences, and I've met so many cool people in real life, actually, just through Twitch chat, and that has been super cool. But there's obviously some really weird stuff happening. Like just the other week, there was someone who's basically like threatening me. He's like, "Oh, I can't wait for Corona to be over. I'll see you then. We'll see you as the last left." And I'm like, "Bruv, like you're really like." You're threatening to beat me up because I banned you in my chat. Like, get over it, amigo.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's a few more like that. Like things that I find really annoying. And it's not even a big deal because it's not like I have a massive problem with people smoking weed. Like, I couldn't care. But if for 8 years in a row people come into my chat and they say that I look high or I looked
Oh,
high
yeah.
at the last event I cast, eventually that actually starts to get proper annoying. Especially if you go to an event and you actually do your job. You know, I'm obviously, I like to have a drink and stuff, but it's more like either 2 days before the event or on the Sunday night. I really take it like pretty serious during the actual events if it's not a home story cup. And then people are like, oh, you a hangover? You a high? And it's like, it's
Yeah.
actually kind of annoying when you're like trying to be a good boy. You go to bed at like 11 p.m., you read a book or you read some Reddit. And then the next day you just have to hear that you look high all the time. Like eventually that really starts to get to you, of
It's the
course.
Dutch stereotype, right?
So
Yeah.
stupid.
It gets annoying. And I don't know. Twitch chat be awesome sometimes and be pretty weird sometimes. Thank you,
It can
Polly.
be.
Next question by our RedGunnerGuy. What most important thing to be a YouTuber apart from consistent uploads? Well, that one is for you, Loco.
The most important thing to be a YouTuber, apart from consistent uploads, I've always tried to keep the rule of like what I upload, I would want to watch myself. Because sometimes I see like people that upload videos that are just, there's no way that they would want to watch that themselves. You know what I mean? You're probably, what's the saying? Like you're your own worst critic or whatever. I try and make sure that I don't go too crazy where I'm being too critical about everything. But yeah, consistency really is the main thing though, and a good thumbnail and title because apparently that's what
Arrows.
YouTube rewards. Yeah, bro.
Arrows.
That actually does drive me nuts about YouTube, where oftentimes it feels like the content itself is not actually that important, but the title and the thumbnail are. I wouldn't mind it if they decided to change that at some point. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty good at thumbnails and titles, but can be quite frustrating to just have to deal with the title. Like, for example, today I casted a best of 3, right? And I have no idea what to title it. And I know if I give it like, so it's Hero versus DRG. I know if I just title it Hero versus DRG, no one's gonna watch it. I have to title it something more exciting than that. But it's a fun series, so it's like.
But why is that? Do you think? Like, that's not a problem of YouTube. That's a problem of people, no?
I think it's because like when you go to the like YouTube.com, you're met with like 50 of those images where if one of them like can pique your interest for a little bit longer than another one, that's probably why you click it. That's also okay. Don't tell anyone, okay? But that's the reason why I've put an arrow on the thumbnail with the idea that like when you're bombarded with like 20 images, you kind of see the arrow and you follow it, right? And you look at what. So you spend just a tad more attention on the one thumbnail. And I've actually noticed that it does make a difference in the long run. But yeah, I guess it's just people have very low attention spans, right? It's kind of just how it is. Yeah.
Back
I
to the
was
Zoomer
actually-
thing that Coco mentioned in the beginning of the show.
Yeah. I was actually sad because I posted my first YouTube video a couple weeks ago, but because I'm not a YouTube like partner or whatever, I couldn't pick the thumbnail. But I made a really stupid thumbnail, and I was super excited to upload it. I was like, with like
That
15
sucks.
arrows all around my face, like, and I wanted to say Lowko cosplay, but they wouldn't let me upload it, so I was really sad.
Yeah, it's also like the YouTube algorithm, right? Where they like it's not like there's an evil guy turning the knob somewhere. It's just that they're trying to keep the user on the website for as long as possible. So I guess that's also like the reason why titles and thumbnails, like people click to the next video pretty quickly and stuff. It's just kind of how it is.
I feel like RedGunnerGuy missed out on one word in every question. Cause like I feel like in the first one, is was missing, and a second question is how your pet. I'm gonna go with is missing again. Lowko, how is your pet, or how are your pets?
My cat is doing great. We're actually gonna get a new cat if everything goes well in like 3 months time. The second one.
Didn't you want a dog? Are you still
Yes.
to get a second cat before
Yeah.
you get a dog?
I wanted to get a dog and she wanted to get a cat. So we've compromised and we're getting 2 cats, I guess. I don't know. But I wasn't sure about cats initially, okay, but I gotta say, he's pretty awesome. He's pretty great.
Coco, you don't have any pets, right?
No, I don't have any pets, but my neighbors have a lot of pets, so I have a lot of friends on the street that I like to play with. I go on a walk every night around midnight, and I have like 4 cats that always meet me. I just walk with some random
Nice.
cats at night. It was really it sounds weird, but it's nice.
Well, I don't have any pets myself, but I just spend a lot of time with the 2 bull mastiffs of my brother. They're called Rico and Rhonda. They're awesome. I love them. They're doing
Check out
great.
Rotti's Instagram story. I see the dogs
That's-
a couple
Mate,
times
like
a week.
I have nothing to post on Instagram because my life has
No,
just
I have
been
the same thing. Man. I post the same shit all the time.
Yeah, like, you know, it used to be fun. I used to have an exciting life. I traveled around, and then like Corona hit, and I'm just stuck at home all the time. Like, what am I gonna do? Like, Kalaris, like take a selfie, like, oh, I'm going live. Like, I'm like, nobody cares, you know. So the only thing that I have to post is Rico and Rhonda because I feel like that's always fun to see. Way more fun than my face every day, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I like
my,
seeing
my
it.
Instagram
Yeah, there's-
died because of COVID.
Rico and Rhonda are so cute, though. No one will ever be unhappy about seeing those big cuties.
They seem massive. Like I
Yeah.
feel like you've like had pictures of where they try to sit on your lap and stuff, right? I feel like it's not comfortable.
Well,
How
Rhonda's
much
okay.
does the big guy weigh?
Rico is around, I think, 74 or 76 kilograms.
Are you serious?
Okay. Yeah, so he's big.
He's
That's
very
huge.
big. Yeah, Rico's massive. Rhonda's not
That's
that
literally
big.
more than me. That dog weighs more than me. What the heck?
Rico's a tank. His face is like this big as well. Like my face is very small compared to his. Anyway, the dogs are doing great. How much should one focus on the main game, normally SC2 in this case, versus other games? I feel like we kind of covered that, but Lowko, do you still want to answer that quickly?
I really think as much as you want to, right? Like if you don't enjoy playing one game, like why like that's kind of the point where it comes down to, right? Like nobody, well, I mean, I was gonna say nobody wants to watch you suffer, and I know like Artos has kind of made that his thing, right? Where he's suffering for 80% of the stream. Obviously, he plays into it as well, but no, I think in general is like as long as you're having fun, that's what you should be doing. So I don't know if there's like for me it's like 50% usually, but some days I don't feel like playing StarCraft and I won't. But yeah, kind of depends.
Yoko?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think if you're forcing yourself to play something that you're not enjoying, it's just not very sustainable, and like you're just gonna hate it and you're gonna stop doing it. So it's better to like explore other avenues and like try other things. And if you can make it work, that's awesome. If you can't, then maybe like streaming isn't the job for you because you don't want to be miserable. Unless you like being miserable, then do whatever you want.
Next. At what point does streaming or YouTubing stop being a hobby and becomes a job? Lowko?
I mean, I would still do it if I couldn't do it full time. I still love doing it, right? So at what point does it become like? At what point does streaming/YouTubing stop being a hobby and becomes a job? I mean, I think the job situation is mostly like the financial side of things, right? If you can pay the bills, doing Twitch streaming or making YouTube videos or whatever. Yeah, at some point when you can do it full time, you can dedicate a lot more time to it. But I still really enjoy it. It's fun. Yeah.
Coco, agree? Disagree? Something
Yeah.
else?
No, I completely agree.
Yep. I'm the
I
same.
do it for
like,
free,
I
man,
think,
but I've tricked people.
no, I think I can answer that quickly as well. It's very simple. Like at first, I started streaming just for fun because I loved it and I wanted to show the world I'm actually good in StarCraft 2, guys. But then eventually, if some of the other jobs you have or the other income falls through, you look at streaming and like, well, it is my hobby, but then it becomes a job. And it's very simple. If you pay your bills at the end of the month because of your income through Twitch, then your hobby is your job, and it can still, it can still be both. It can still just be your hobby, but your hobby is something you mostly do when you want to do it. A job is something that you pretty much should just do all the time, and you don't have to overdo it, but you also don't want to underdo it. You don't just want to do nothing forever, because obviously that's not something you can do. You have to pay your rent or your mortgage at the end of the month. Anyway, one last question for Lowko. What hero of the Storm hero did you main?
I haven't played that game in years. I played pretty much all of them. I didn't really like main one.
All right.
Mostly just made a bunch of videos for it, and I enjoyed it, but I played, whatever I felt like.
I feel like the new Pokemon MOBA looks a lot like Heroes of the Storm. Do you guys agree?
Oh, I haven't actually seen it. Is that the Pokemon Unite
I
thing?
haven't seen it.
Is it called United? I thought it was Excite or something. I don't know. Yeah, but I know Rotti has been playing it quite a bit. Even Rotti even
has been playing it.
we even got the first tweet already today. What did I do in a previous life to get such bad teammates? I'm like, oh my god.
That's a classic tweet.
Is it a mobile game or is it not? Like, I look at it, like, I've got a
You
stream
can play it
open
on
of
the
it right now.
computer, but I think it's mostly made for the Twitch or Switch, not Twitch. Switch.
Oh, okay. Because it kind of looks like a mobile game, but I don't know.
I think the most relevant meme I've ever seen about team games was, I hope my teammates can lower me into my grave one day so they can let me down one last time. And like that stuck with me
Wow.
for the past like 5 years. Whenever I'm playing, I'm just like, oh yeah, there it is. They're gonna come get me
Shifting
one
blame,
day.
guys. We talked about this. This is why StarCraft's a good game.
I like that one too. It's always fun. They do use it as like when you're a fan of a certain team as well. It's like, oh, when I die, I want to be buried by Feyenoord so they can let me down one last time. It's a
So
classic.
good.
All right, last and not least, and then we really have to call it a show because I have to get ready for my DreamHack broadcast, and that's a lot of talking for the upcoming 8 hours. So thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you for the questions. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this week's edition of the ThePylonShow. The last one is by our good old fear dragon, Ravi Parikh. Hey, Biradam, your eyes are looking really normal and wide. Did you get a full night's rest? Fuck you, Ravi. Hi, Knockout. I noticed that you are streaming StarCraft instead of New World. Have you quit New World? What is
High knockout. Oh, I think it's low KO. There you go. This is Ravi
Oh
writing
my
a
God.
question,
Oh my
right? So
God.
it's low K. Yeah, okay. A bit of a stretch there, but I like it. I noticed you're streaming StarCraft instead of New World. Have you quit New World? The beta has ended, Ravi. Yeah, you know it.
Is New World actually a game?
Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. But like the beta just ended and the main release is like at the end of the month.
And not Cuckoo, but Coco. Or Coco, not Cuckoo. Hi, first time fan, long time viewer. You should frown more. Everyone looks good with a frown.
Okay, I'll try. Does that work? Was that good, Robbie?
I think he will think it's good. Robbie, I love you. Thank you so much for still supporting the Pilot Show and everything else you do for StarCraft 2. I don't know if I actually had a good night's rest to answer your question slightly more serious. I think I was so pissed off yesterday at myself. I don't know. Some days you're just angry. And yesterday I was just angry and frustrated. And StarCraft 2, I don't know if you guys agree with this, but when I play and stream it, I feel like it strengthens your emotions. It's like what they say about drugs, right? With like, oh, certain drugs, they strengthen, like they make everything X5. I have that a bit with StarCraft. So if I sit down and I'm already a bit grumpy, I feel like I'm just like, I'm going real down. And I end my stream and I'm furious, you know? I'm like, oh my God, I'm so upset right now. Well, if you're having a good day, then StarCraft 2 streaming, it can get really good, you know? Like, oh, I'm having so much fun. Look at this zealot run by. I don't know if you guys feel similar or not.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Definitely.
I definitely know what you mean. It's like what I told myself I shouldn't have played it, and I still did it anyway, and now we're here.
It's the
All right,
same
guys.
when people chant like one more, and you're like, I really don't want to. I'm so hungry, and you do one more, and you lose 42 MMR, and you're like, I hate you. First in the chat, I despise you.
Oof, minus 42. It's like, yeah, I didn't want to do this game anyway. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Big shout out to, of course, our big Patreon supporters, Maker Shane, Jerry Wang, Cody Furious 87, and Kata. Shout out to Blinker as well. And then we've got a whole bunch of 25, 20, 15, and $10 supporters of the Patreon show. If you guys like the Pylon Show and you want to see it continue, make sure to head over to thepylonshow.com or click on the beautiful button below my stream. You can click on that, and that's where you can support the Pylon Show in whatever way you want. Before I will close it out, I want to give Cobra an opportunity to talk to everyone that's here or people at home that are listening to the VODs, watching the YouTube video. Are you here, Cobra?
Yeah, I'm here. I don't have too much this week.
Did I forget anything important?
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. From a scale 1 to 10, what rating do I get?
This week's like a 9.8.
No way, mate. That's
Ooh,
biased
nice.
jury judging. Come on.
No, actually,
Just,
it's smooth. We didn't have like any desync problems. Like we were together on all the transitions and stuff, except for me being like having the wrong Team Liquid episode or page up at one point. That's on me, so you're fine.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Cobra. Anything else I missed in regards of our show? Make sure to follow the YouTube channel, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess we can put that in our chat as well, guys. If you ever want to watch the VODs, like I actually tried. Before, somebody on Reddit was upset at me because I said, like, hey, the Pylon Show with Clem, Rainer, and Zero, it should be public on my Twitch. If your VODs are behind a paywall, even if you select one video and you say that it's available for everyone, then it's still not available for everyone. But Cobra does post all the Pylon Show episodes over at YouTube real quick. So if you guys are not a sub to my Twitch channel, don't worry. You can always watch the shows on this brand new YouTube channel. This channel hasn't been around for a very long time yet because things always used to be on either Artosis, his YouTube, right? Or, yeah, I think it was always Artosis YouTube, Jeff Twitch, and then Artosis Twitch and Artosis YouTube. I don't know. So this is relatively new, but you guys can find everything related to the Pylon Show if you just type in the Pylon Show over at YouTube. That's going to do it, guys. I want to give just a massive, massive, massive thank you to both of you for joining me here on the Wednesday morning. I think it was super fun to talk to you, especially because you both have, like, you're both StarCraft streamers, but it's obviously very different history. And I think it was really fun to learn about the things that you guys went through. So I'll start off with Lowko. Well, Lowko, thank you so much for joining me, mate. Where can we find you? And other than the usual Lowko schedule, which you're definitely going to tell us about, is there anything else that you're really stoked for?
Yeah, you can basically follow me at Lowko TV everywhere. I've tried doing, at Lowko TV everywhere. I've got a second YouTube channel these days as well that some people might want to check out if you're into other games than StarCraft 2. So that's youtube.com/morelowko. But other than that, I'm live pretty much every day on Twitch, Monday through Saturday, 2 to 8 p.m. Central European time usually. So yeah, go check it out if you want to. So yeah, that's the second channel. I'm basically posting completed games that I've streamed on Twitch over there. And I've been really liking it. I mean, it's just been a channel mostly for archiving, I guess, but I was kind of just storing those on a hard drive, and I figured it may as well be worth posting those to a second channel. Other than that, yeah, thank you very much for having me, man. If you ever have another show that is not in the middle of the night or during my regularly scheduled streams, I would be happy to join again in the future. Just let me know.
It is actually pretty insane that you have been making YouTube videos incredibly consistently for the last 6, 7, 8 years. And then on top of that, you've been streaming on Twitch very consistently for the last 5 years. And in 135 weeks or whatever it is, you have never been on the Pylon Show. That's actually criminal.
That's mostly on me, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, we
I
had a
should've probably
couple.
Yeah, we had
Sorry,
a
go
couple where it could have worked out reasonably well, but the couple times I was asked for it, it was at like 4 in the morning. I'm like, I don't really want to mess up and jet lag myself in my own home at 4 a.m. just because I was on the Pylon Show. But yeah.
Throughout the last few years, though, we did have a couple of EU-friendly episodes, but I guess they were mostly during your streaming slot, so that also didn't work out. But yeah, I'd love to have you on more often. I'm sure that people really enjoyed hearing from you, and it's fun. Thank you so
thanks for
much,
having
mate. I really appreciate it. When are you going live today?
Right after this.
Oh, okay.
I have my
Sorry
OBS
if-
already open, man. I'm ready to go.
All right, no anxiety. Just click that button. We'll definitely
No,
go
no,
ahead
that's
and
fine.
rate you as soon as you are live. And then, of course, my absolute favorite Twitch streamer on Twitch, Coconut Games. Coco, thank you so much for making it onto the Pilot Show. I know I already asked you a couple of times, but it never quite worked out. This time it did. How was it?
It was really fun. It was everything I've been dreaming of. Like I said it on my stream yesterday, but like when I first started streaming, my dream was to be invited on the Pylon Show. So I'm really happy that I finally got to be on. So I really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
That makes me really happy to hear. Obviously, you stream quite often at twitch.tv/coconutgames. Is there anything else you want to promote or talk to us about your plans for the upcoming weeks?
No, not really. Just the usual. Just, playing games, twitching around, trying to sit still for longer than like 15 minutes at a time. But yeah, that's about it.
The Zoomer life ain't easy.
It ain't easy.
That's why I put arrows on the thumbnails, man.
Any games with Clem coming up?
What do you mean?
I don't
Like
know.
streaming them?
Some
Probably
late
not.
night Counter-Strike or any other of those video games you guys play together?
I mean, we're friends, so probably yes. I would assume yes.
Are you streaming it?
No, I never stream it.
Okay, that's a shame. So if Clem doesn't win DreamHack, is it on you, Coco?
Sure. I'll just play some- I'll take it.
All right. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day for joining me on this episode of The Pilot Show. That's going to do it for all of us. Cobra, thank you very much for waking up so early and running the show, of course. Big shout out to Alexander for helping us with This Week in StarCraft 2. Big shout out to all of you guys for tuning in. I've got 40 minutes to get ready before my DreamHack Masters Europe shift starts, and I believe we have NA today as well. So that's going to be a long day with a lot of Rotti. At the end of the day, I'm going to be sick of hearing my own voice. But for now, I want to thank all of you guys for tuning in. And we'll be back same time, probably same place next week for another episode of The Pylon Show. Bye-bye.
Shout out to The Pylon Show, the greatest show on the internet. Shout out to The Pylon Show, the greatest show on the internet.